Up he goes. Look at this.
Kia ora, very warm welcome to a very warm Hawke's Bay, Hastings specifically, and Mitre 10 Sports Park for the 25th anniversary edition of the Potts Track and Field Classic, an athletics meeting that has given us so many great memories over the past quarter of a century. We've got, as I say, very warm conditions. What about the wind? Well, it's a fairly stiff breeze from the north, as you can probably see from the flags behind me, and that'll be pushing Zoe Hobbs, the Oceania record holder, the woman who ran 10.9 seconds in a series of sub-11 second runs last season. That captured the nation and drew her to the cusp of a World Championship final, just missing by the slightest in making that final 8. But we see Zoe step out here today. Up against her will be Rosie Elliott, the 200 metre national record holder, and there are other record holders as well on the track. Portia Bing, 400 metres hurdles national champion and record holder, but no hurdles for her today. She'll be putting her best foot forward on the flat. And then in the field we have Connor Bell. He's the New Zealand record holder at just the age of 22 in the men's discus. And Lauren Bruce, of course domiciled in Australia now, she is here for the women's hammer throw, for which she is the national record holder. And I know Connor and Lauren have been throwing well in a pre-camp warm-up this week and on Tuesday at the pre-Potts Classic meeting. So there are 7 nations represented here. Let's get to the live action out in the field. I'm Mark Rosanowski, a newcomer to the Potts Track and Field Classic at edition 25, but with me is Hayden Sherman. He's been here for at least the last handful. Hayden, very good afternoon to you. About to show the schedule over the next 3.5 hours, but surely some more great athletics to add to the legacy of the Potts Classic from the last quarter of a century.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. 25 years in running, and look, the excitement down here is definitely building. A lot of athletes really target this one as a key. Don't know if it's a season opener, but it's certainly when you start rounding into that peak fitness for the summer. So conditions are absolutely dreamy here. We're sort of sweating up the top of the stadium here, and it's probably high 20s, just a light northerly coming in, and the forecast is for that just nice warmth to continue through the night. Possibly a few showers around later today, which might impact those later events. But there's a look at the program. We just had some field events that we'll be doing some highlights on, but key on the track are the 100 and 200. Then we've got some 400s that look really juicy, and of course in the 100 metres we've got Zoe Hobbs lining up, facing off against number 2 Australian Bree Masters, and we've got the under 20 mile champs coming up later this afternoon. Of course the big one, the Sylvia Potts Memorial 800s. To come later in the evening.
The women's 800 obviously a highlight because we're remembering the achievements and acknowledging what Sylvia Potts in particular gave to the sport in this area and indeed around New Zealand, and of course her husband Alan as well. The men's 800 looks particularly good with Sam Tanner saying that he will set up a 50.5 first lap there, and when we've got James Preston, number 3 of all time, in there to kick home, it could be pretty interesting. Just hopefully for that, the wind might drop away.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one. The pace will be hot. Sam's been given that task of pacing, but also he said, look, I'm going to try and finish as well. So expect a lot of those younger guys as well behind James to be really pulled onto some fast times. We've got a bunch of young athletes who are now sub 150 in the 800. But here's a look at the start list for the long jump, which is the first of our field events that we're going to get into, and really quality field lining up here. Hannah Sandilands, the reigning New Zealand champ. She's up against the likes of Mariah Riranui, a multiple-time New Zealand long jump champion. Charlotte Goldsmith, the New Zealand secondary schools recently crowned champion, coming in with a best of 5.99, very close to that 6 metre mark. And conditions are absolutely perfect, just blowing them down the runway there. If anything, maybe just a little bit blowy, so we'll keep an eye on some of those wind readings early on. But really quality field lining up in great conditions here in Mitre 10 Sports Park in Hastings.
Yeah, with Brenna Stevenson, another 6 metre jumper in there as well. Sort of that clutch in and around the 6 metres that should make this an exceptional competition in the back straight. And just having a look at the wind readings so far in the early sort of half a dozen jumps that we've had so far, Hayden, looking at a gust behind them of anywhere between 2.2 and 4 metres per second.
Yeah, so hopefully it's just going to die down slightly and we'll see some legal jumps, but certainly it's a consistent breeze, which will be helpful for these athletes in terms of gauging their effort on the runway, making sure they're not going to overstride. So early on, Charlotte Goldsmith continuing her form from New Zealand secondary schools in December. She's looking pretty good, out to a 5.70, leading the very early stages in this competition.
Hannah Sandilands just completing her first jump there, and we'll get you her jump shortly. I understand, Hayden, you were talking to Hannah earlier and that she might have been just a touch doubtful, but she's over there and she's jumping, and hopefully can produce something like her best tonight.
Yeah, saying she had a little hamstring niggle, and it's often a bit of a tough call for a lot of these athletes, deciding, am I going to risk it early in the season, or is it just nerves playing tricks with my brain? I just get out there and get amongst it. So here we see it, Brenna Stevenson, who's now focused more on the multi-events, but well performed over a variety of events. And so I believe this won't be the only time we'll see her today. I'm pretty sure she's lining up in the shot put as well.
Indeed, I think we'll see her on the track as well if everything runs to program. She did win the Open Long Jump title in 2020. She gets herself ready for her first round jump. The long jump is brought to us by Parkvale Pharmacy, a fabulous community pharmacy serving Parkvale at the eastern side of Hastings, and they've been a long-time supporter of the Pott Classic, as have a number of the sponsors who are with us here tonight.
Well, she gave that a bit of a smile, but a bit of a frustrated clap on the hands because it got the red flag. So I must have just overshot that one a little, but perhaps a bit of a feeling that things were feeling good.
So Charlotte Goldsmith registering that 5 metres 70 in her first jump with a plus 3.1 metre per second wind, and Saskia Rind with 4 metres 80 also with a similar wind reading. Juliet McKinley 4.73 with a plus 2.2. Taylor Trow at 4.69 with a plus 2.4. Michaela Stanton had a 4 metre gust behind her, 4.47. And Alexandra Domansky 4.44 with a positive 3 metre wind. You can see the flags out there. It's been strong all afternoon. Hopefully just die down to a legal limit, because certainly the temperature, Hayden, conducive to some decent jumping and, of course, 100-metre sprinting.
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly for those 100s, you know, we've seen the national record, national resident record being broken here before. Zoe Hobbs did it a couple of years ago in the 100, and Tian Welkton has equalled his resident record a couple of times, as we see Georgia Gibbons running through that one, just giving a bit of an indication. It's going to take a little while to get a hang of this breeze.
And Georgia in the New Zealand singlet of the New Zealand Secondary Schools team. It was announced after the New Zealand Secondary Schools Championship in Christchurch in December. Looking forward to some of the youngsters up against probably some of their idols tonight, Hayden, is how it works at this stage of their career.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great, you know, having the likes of Hannah Sandilands, Mariah Didanui, Brianna to rub shoulders with, and I don't want to say they're at the other end of their careers. They're in the peak of their careers, and it's great to have that that rubbing off of the brilliance of the other athletes onto these younger ones. And it's one of the characteristics of the New Zealand Athletics Summer, that you really get the chance for the high school athletes to turn their attention once they've done secondary school nationals to try and match it with the seniors and see how they can go. So the POTTS Classic is, well, it's the second of the classics. We started off with the Lovelock Classic a couple of weeks ago, and then of course we had the New Zealand 10,000 metre champs last weekend, and so really from here on in, it's just every weekend at least we've got another classic somewhere around the country. And as we work our way towards mid-March, the New Zealand champs back in Wellington for another year. And you're a Wellington local. Have we organised the same weather conditions as last year? Is that on the cards, part of the organising committee?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can achieve that, Hayden, but we'll certainly look into it for you. It was certainly extraordinary, and that's what gave us obviously the conditions that allowed Zoe Hobbs to sort of explode and probably give herself the confidence that she was an 11-second runner. And of course she built on that throughout an extraordinary 2023, and we hope for a new chapter again beginning tonight, not too long from now.
Absolutely. As we see Alexandra Domansky get her day underway.
So a couple of the key contenders so far have failed to register first round, Mariah Ruranui and Hannah Sandilands, both with jumps not measured in the first round, but they get another opportunity shortly. Of course, we're talking about Mariah. She's a 5-time national champion, including the last 3, 31 years old now, and go across to the podium for the first time tonight, Hayden, and this is kind of giving away what we are going to play in very shortly, but I think everybody would have expected that Lauren Bruce, indeed, who has performed so well here on Hastings and produced many of her best throws here, and she did take out the women's hammer throw as we expected.
Yeah, it was impressive from Lauren. She's looking good this year. She's been out beyond 70 metres already early season, and she looked really solid out there. So Naji Kumaric, one of our top performing juniors, did really well today, picking up a personal best with 52.83. Elizabeth Hewitt picked up a season's best, 54.36, but it was 14 metres behind Lauren Bruce, who was out to 68.21. That hammer kept on reaching out towards the 70 metre mark. We thought maybe it would get there, but good consistent throwing from Lauren today in the warmth of Hastings, and she'll be pretty happy that her season's off to a good start. As I said, she's had a couple of meets over in Aussie and been throwing out beyond 70 metres, and she'll have her eyes on the Paris Olympic standard, which is 74 metres, and yeah, here we go.
Right up there with her national record just to qualify for the Paris Olympics, just to give people an indication of just how difficult it is to qualify in some of these events.
So bright sunshine, perfect conditions. She was saying the hotter the better for me when it comes to competing, and if it's around 31, 32 degrees, that's the kind of sweet spot for her in terms of not needing to stay warm between rounds. I believe that was a round 3 foul. Just clattering into the cage there.
Her best came in round 2 with a 68.21, but then she produced in round 4 a 67 metres 70, not too far behind. And her final throw was 67.96.
And there's a summary of the results. Well, we're about to get it. So, yeah, Lauren Bruce continues her domination of this event. Don't know how many times she's won it, but I imagine it goes back a few years. I feel like Julia Ratcliffe maybe won it 3 years ago, but Lauren's the undisputed queen of women's hammer throwing right now in New Zealand, with Julia Ratcliffe and Nicole Bradley hanging up the, I don't know whether you'd say hanging up the hammer.
You need a strong hook. Her meeting record, Lauren, back in 2021, 72 and 28, which she didn't threaten today, but nonetheless a pretty good sequence of throws. Now, speaking of good sequence of throws, Hayden, we were treated early on to Anthony Nobilo in his Slipknot T-shirt with a quite extraordinary succession that brought about a new personal best and a new meeting record breaking his own.
Absolutely. So 69.72 was his meeting record. He's getting awfully close to that 70 metre mark. Him and Anthony Barnes have been continuing the climb up the all-time leaderboard in New Zealand hammer throwing. At the moment, Anthony Barnes is the only one to go plus 70, but Anthony got very close today. Look at that, just heaving it out into the Hastings sky, and got within 28 centimetres of 70 metres.
He opened with 69.47, which was the meeting record in PB, and then he built on that, as you say, with that fifth round throw of the 69.72 that we'll see. But in between times too, Hayden, 68.60, 67.93, 68 and 77, all up there with his best.
Yeah, impressive. Wearing the Slipknot T-shirt, giving you maybe an indication of the playlist that he's got going while he's waiting for his turn.
Well, whatever he's listening to, it was doing him well today.
Yeah, and I imagine that sort of music is the sort of energy that you need to produce these sorts of throws. Really consistent throwing. Everything was 67 metres and above. But we also had a guest from Australia, Timothy Hayes, throwing really, really well. He's got a PB of around, I think it's 68 metres. Today he got out to 65.83, and again, great consistency from Timothy. High 63s up to mid 65s all day long. So really competitive at that top end of the hammer throw competition today between Timothy and Nobilo.
Third in the Australian Championships last year, and good obviously to give Anthony a push, although I've seen Nobilo performing where he's, scores clear of his rivals, but he obviously has the mentality. He's able to compete with a very single focused mindset.
Goes home with some local produce.
Easy to find around here.
Yeah. And there we go. Meet record to Anthony Nobilo, 69.72. Fantastic from Anthony. Personal best for him. Good start to the season. Promising signs for that young man who's just won a plethora of national titles. I think he's up to 5 now. And we saw a little clip of the women's pole vault. So that was the other event to go earlier this afternoon, and we'll bring you those highlights shortly. Had a great outing from our visiting Japanese athlete. But here we are back to the women's long jump. And here is Hannah Sandilands for her second round attempt.
And just for the moment, the wind has just dropped as well. Just looking at the flags down in front of me here as Hannah psychs herself up, having registered a no jump in round 1. She'll be looking to get on the board here.
So Hannah had a great year last year, taking up the national title.
Get a white flag this time at her first measure. Important, obviously, to get on the board in these first 3 jumps, and it's quite a decent sized field too, Hayden, for this.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do have to correct myself. It was the Potts Classic that she won last year, Hannah Sandilands, and there's confirmation of the women's hammer throw. A couple of our younger athletes, Iorani Tafili and Zoe Rutherford, in there as well, having good days out. Iorana picking up a personal best. So Hannah actually picked up a bronze at the national champs, and Mariah Riranui yet another national title. And here's Brenna Stevenson, former national champ herself, now multi-eventer. In 3rd place at the New Zealand heptathlon champs this year, behind Christina Ryan and Maddie Wilson. But obviously the long jump is one of her strengths. She's got a great start-up routine. Here we go, powering down the runway, using that tailwind. Looked pretty good on the board. Are we getting a white flag? Yes.
We are, so that'll be a relief to her. I can tell you too that Hannah Sandilands' jump takes her to the lead. It was 5.72, and I thought the wind might have dropped to less than 3 metres per second, but that's what's registered for Hannah. But she goes 2 centimetres clear of the New Zealand Secondary Schools champion Charlotte Goldsmith.
All right, so we're going to have a little look at the women's pole vault action. So we had, well, our big 3 Kiwi women are overseas at the moment, not vaulting in New Zealand. They're focusing on an indoor European season. So that meant some of our younger athletes competing in the nice conditions. This is always a favourite event for our local pole vaulters. A few little jitters thanks to that strong tailwind just blowing them into the bar.
Really tough conditions for them early on. And Hannah Adja, 3:45 she cleared. They went out at 3:65. Jade Arbuthnot from Australia, she also cleared 3:45 but missed at 3:65, and Elaine Zai 3:45 cleared as well, but at her second attempt.
And this woman on screen, Misaka Moroto, had a really jittery start. She was sitting on 2 misses at her opening height, and we were kind of thinking, yikes, is she going to make it through? In the end, she did make a clearance. I think it was at 4:05 was her success, and then another 2 misses at the next height, and just continued to get 3rd-time clearances all the way up to 4:40. So really putting herself under pressure. You can see there, just trying to get the hang of that tailwind, make those adjustments, dial in the slight differences in your run-up, slight differences in the setup.
It was an extraordinary sequence because there wasn't a single clearance at her first attempt, Hayden, and many a time she was just putting obviously the pressure on herself, and at this stage there's no other rivals, and so she had 3 minutes between jumps, but she was able to compose herself and get over at the crucial times, ultimately leaping 4.40 metres. She'd cleared 4:25 on Tuesday at the pre-POTTS meeting, so she clearly had the confidence she could get that far, but as you say, initially we were concerned she wouldn't get over 4:05 and register any height at all, and ultimately at 4:40 she's come in 8 centimetres below her Japanese national record that she set at the Asian Games last October. So from what could have been a very disappointing competition, one would imagine, Hayden, she's actually pretty satisfied at the end of the day.
She really turned it around amazingly, and I just did the maths, about 11 misses in the one competition. When you think the effort that she's putting in with that sprint and the fatigue on your body, and there was how many clearances? 6 clearances in that sequence. And so it really shows, you know, she's the only woman in the competition at this stage, and so you don't get that benefit of the recovery while another athlete is going. So incredible feat from Morota to get through and post a 440. I had a little chat to her before the event, and she said, if I get 440, I'll be very happy. This is the only event as well. It's the pre-POTTS meet on Tuesday, earlier in the week, that she's doing here in New Zealand. She'll head home, and then she's going to be back for the Sir Graham Douglas meet in early March. So really great to have her here in New Zealand. And look, if you've got some Japanese mates, Misaki, who want to come over for some more meets, we'd love to have you. It's always great having those Asian athletes come down during their winter and compete here in the sunshine in New Zealand.
Indeed, Misaki Murata.
Yeah, it was impressive
pole vault
from
competition to life this afternoon, and 4 metres 40 her winning height as we head back to the long jump.
Yeah, Mariah, right back. She's on the really long run up. She's making the most of that entire runway, which shows the type of speed that she's trying to generate. But the longer your run up, the more chance of that wind just putting you off your stride a little. When it comes to that board, ideally you want to only be leaving a couple of centimetres on the board. But here she goes.
Critical jump, her third.
And what's it going to be? She looked a little bit frustrated with that, a wry smile.
She did look alarmed, so we'll keep our eye on that. I've got her down for 2 misses thus far. The result there confirming the women's open pole vault with Misaki Murata, one of our international competitors. 7 different nations competing here tonight. New Zealand plus 6 others, and 4 metres 40 her clearance in the end. Australian Jade Arbuthnot 3:45 along with Hannah Adje, but claiming second there on countback as we head back to the long jump. The pole vault brought to us by Tumu Group that have been generous supporters of the Classic over the years. They were established in Dannevirke, the company, and got a Family Enterprise Award for Excellence, the 2023 Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Last season did the Tumu Group.
Just saw Taylor Trow on screen. I believe her sister Amber Trow featured really prominently in the jumps at the New Zealand secondaries. I'm assuming it's her sister. The Trow family may be able to correct me if I'm wrong with that one.
See Mariah Ruanui registering 5:44 with that jump, clearly well below her best, but the critical thing, Hayden, is that she's registered to jump so that she can move into the second part of the program with 3 extra jumps.
Need that safety. All right, Michaela Stanton. That's her third jump. She's currently sitting in 12th place, best of 4:47, a little back up of 4:46, so good consistency there from Michaela.
And the first of our track events about to get underway, Hayden, as we tick towards 5 o'clock, and we're going to be opening up with some races for the youngsters over the 100 metres, and we'll concentrate on the 200 metres, which are coming up at 5:05, beginning with an Open B event and then the Open A event that features the New Zealand record holder Joseph Miller.
Charlotte Goldsmith, New Zealand Secondary Schools champs. This is her third round jump. She's currently sitting in second place. Remember, she opened in the lead with a 5:70. She's backed that up with a 5:63. So just 2 centimetres off Hannah Sandilands, our early competition leader. That one will not factor in, obviously. One of the big hopes for the future of women's long jumping in New Zealand. And here we have Juliet McKinley, another of the Palmerston North Athletics crew who have come across the hills. And as with most people from Palmerston North, having grown up there myself, it's always nice when you come across that hill to the Hawke's Bay and find the sun shining over here. Although, much like the rest of New Zealand, it's been piping hot in Palmerston North lately as well. So, Juliet McKinley currently sitting in 7th place. She's got a 4.93, just knocking on the door of that 5 metre zone. And Hannah Riley is next up on the runway. Hannah Sanderland's just going through her strides in the background.
Hannah Sanderland's currently leading with 5.72 in her second round, with a 3 metre per second win behind her. Charlotte Goldsmith with that opening 5.70. Sitting 2 centimetres back in second. I was lucky enough to be down in Christchurch at Napunawai for the New Zealand secondary schools, and saw Charlotte Goldsmith with that terrific jump of 5.99, with a similar win behind her. Actually was +3 that day as well. She also jumped 5.97 with a legal wind. Though, so it was a really good series from her, and hopefully she can bring that to us over the next half an hour or so.
Saskia Rind lining up. She has a 4.80 best today, sitting in 9th position, so she'll need to improve. Looked reasonably good on the board. Gets a white flag, and jumpers are pretty hard to read at the best of the times. Not as bad as throwers. Throwers typically would make great poker players. Jumpers usually get a bit of body language, but often can be pretty hard to decipher how they're feeling about things. But here's Hannah Sanderlands, our competition leader, 5.72. It's well off her best from last year. So last year she picked up that bronze medal, but was the national leader, posting a PB of 6.20. So just composing herself, much like Mariah Didanui. Good, strong, long run up. Here she comes towards the board. Yeah, it looked like she maybe just stepped over it, just pulled out at the last minute.
27 years old now, Hannah, and she'll remain on top after 3 rounds, you would think. With Brianna Stevenson still to jump her third. Brianna 5.30 in the second round, currently sitting in 5th position. Taylor Trowell occupying the 8th spot at the moment, with a best of 4.95 when she had 4.1 wind behind her. In general, the wind, certainly on this side of the track, seems to have dropped away a fraction as we get into the men's pole vault with Andrew Spence Pharmacies, who are the major sponsor here this year. Been a fantastic supporter for the Pott Classic for the best part of a decade. 4 locations, and do prescriptions, New Zealand Post, and also home of Napier's luckiest lotto outlet in Onakawa. Apparently, Hayden, if you want to drive by there tonight, win yourself a mil.
Brianna Stevenson. So much focus, so much energy. She really, I love the energy that she brings to her athletics, and as with most multi-eventers, they just love the competition. They love getting into the cauldron of the competition, and she's here to play ball. She's currently sitting in 5th place with a 5.30, but we know she can definitely post a quicker time, longer distance than that. But here we go. We've got the finals. These are straight finals for the 200. For the hundreds, we're going to be doing heats. So amazingly, we have Joseph Miller, the New Zealand record holder, lining up in the B final.
I see we've got B final up there, but I'm pretty sure that looked like the field for the A final there. So.
Yeah, I'd want to say
yep.
so. I was going to say, because we've also got Joe Dolphin in there, who took out the New Zealand Secondary Schools hundreds and second in the 200 at New Zealand Secondary Schools. So, yeah, that will be in the next one. Here, no, I don't know if that's the right one either. We'll keep trying.
We'll keep working on it. But that's going to be a terrific race with Fergus McLean in there as well, and Hayata Yaneto as well. It's a pretty decent 200-metre field we've got assembled there for the A1 when we get to it.
So in the middle of the screen is one of the key men to watch here is Mitch Joint. So he took out the New Zealand Para 100, and we're going to see a great para matchup in the 100 later today. And of course, the Paris Paralympics took out the bronze medal in the 200 with an area record of 23:32. So look for a great performance from Mitch using that tailwind to bring him home. Other guys alongside him, Joshua Adegoke, Forbes Kennedy, they're all 22-second men. So this is going to be a good, quick heat. And it will be great for Mitch to have these boys pulling him along. Could we see? Do we dare to dream that it's too early in the year for another area record, Mitch? You can see all the athletes lining up to take their spot in these 200 finals.
Stephen Thorpe in lane 2, a decent decathlete. Had his birthday last Saturday. Max Lua next to him in the Mana Athletics, and then Mitch Joint, Joshua Adegoke, Forbes Kennedy, Ian Willange and Luke Jarvis as they're underway.
All right, underway, and it looks like Joshua Adegoke's off to a really good start wearing the black and yellow. One of the local boys getting up to speed now is Mitch Joint, but it's Joshua Adegoke. Willange is looking really good out there in lane 6 as well. Arian Willange looks like he's going to take it. Joshua Adegoke not too far behind. Whew. Nice and quick. Mitch Joint got up to speed, and we'll have to see what sort of time they come through at, but Arian Willange ran a great last portion of that bend, and once he hit that home straight, used that tailwind to just blow him home.
Balanced up beautifully and ripped clear. He has ducked under 23 seconds before, 22:93. Holding out Joshua Adegoke and Forbes Kennedy home in third out of Palmerston North. And we'll get that result in time shortly to give us an indication of what might be possible in the A final. It does feature the New Zealand record holder Joseph Miller, and still running well at the age of 31, I think he is now, Hayden, and terrific to still have him competitive against the youngsters coming through.
Yeah, it's really awesome having him involved, and it must be challenging for Joseph knowing that he was at all-time best New Zealand form a few years ago, but to still remain competitive, still be training. I think it really means a lot to the domestic competition that he hasn't just decided, oh look, I'm a second off where I used to be, oh, maybe I should just hang up the spikes. But he's still going, and that really does, when you're coming down that home straight, I'm sure it's a good motivation to think for the other athletes, ooh, I'm hanging with the fastest guy in New Zealand history here. So yeah, great to have Joseph Miller still in the sport, and he's still mighty quick as well. So we'll see what sort of form he's in this season.
Did the 100-200 double at the Nationals in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2017, 2018, and I took my young son. I said, we're going to Newtown Park tonight. We're going to see the fastest man in New Zealand, Joseph Miller, and he was over the 100 metres at the time, but that was the year, the introduction of Eddie Osai Nketiah, and so Joseph didn't win that night.
Yeah.
Eddie did, but we saw Joseph and we saw Eddie, so that was a big bonus.
So no Eddie Osai Nketiah today, unfortunately. So he's based in University of Hawaii, pursuing a a collegiate football scholarship. But there's the start list. We've got Joseph Miller in 2, Joe Dolphin in lane 3, Leo Youssef in lane 4, Liam Kilby in lane 5, Fergus McLeay in lane 6, Hayato Yonito in lane 7, Lucas Lambert in lane 8. Good strong field here at the 2024 Potts Classic, lining up for the A final of the men's 200 metres.
Sponsored by Proactive.
And we're on that way nice and cleanly. Really good start in the middle there from Liam Kilby, another of the local boys, looking really strong. Joseph Miller has already made up that stagger on Joe Dolphin. Joseph Miller has the lead. Can Joe Dolphin respond? Joseph Miller, those old legs are still going strong. Can he push all the way to the line? Hayato Yanito pulls away, looks across to his left, says yes. Got ya, boys, got ya. Fergus McLeay in second place. Joe Dolphin looked like he was 4th. Joseph Miller just starting to tie up towards the end of that. Maybe a little bit of a hitch in the stride in those last 50 metres.
He ran a terrific bend, Joseph Miller. He came up, as you say, underneath. Joe Dolphin had him covered, but out wider, balancing up and stronger over the concluding stages. Hayato Yanito, he's been at the Pacific Games recently in Solomon Islands last month. Finished 5th there in the 200 metres. 22 years old now, PB of 21 and 58, and hopefully we'll get the times through to you shortly for these 200 metres. But did well holding Fergus McLeay, who's very good over the 400 as well, so strong at the back end of 200 metres as he was there.
So we're getting into the action here on the track. Things are starting to heat up. We've got so much more to come. We've got 100s, heats and finals, 400s, 2 great 400 metre finals. The men's and the women's looks very juicy. Matchups from last year's national championships to unfold. And then, of course, we've got the 800s. We've got the junior under 20 mile champs, so some national medals to hand out. And then we finish up the day with the 800s, the Sylvia Potts Memorial 800s, and they are going to be very tasty indeed. And that's not to mention all the other stuff we've got happening in the field. So it's going to be an action-packed evening here. And just look at that, so relaxed, Yonito. Really composed. Joseph Miller having to work really hard in that last 50 metres. He ran a good bend, but maybe just that speed endurance not quite there at the early stages. But there's your times, 21.53 from Hayato Yanito. Fergus McLeay in second place. Joseph Miller hangs on for 3rd, with Joe Dolphin in 4th place, the New Zealand secondary schools 100 metre champion.
And he was terrific in that 100 metres. I know he was disappointed with himself in the 200. He lost the close go there to Ryland Noom, who we'll see here tonight. He was hoping to do the double quite obviously. There with his dad, James, of course, who's still very high on the list of all-time runners, 100 and 200 metres. And Joe's certainly got plenty of dad's ability. He's only 17, so he's got it all ahead of him. Running against guys like Joseph Miller obviously will be terrific for him. Some good times there, obviously decent wind behind them down the home straight. I saw that time for Arian Willange in the B final. Hayden came up at around 21.86, which is exceptionally quick for him. So certainly good conditions for these guys to feel good about themselves tonight.
And we just saw Connor Bell, New Zealand record holder. He loves throwing the discus here in Hastings, and that looked very close out to that 60 metre mark. We're going to have to keep our eye on that as we see the start. There's the results for the B final. Arian Willange, as you say, 21.86. But early stages in the discus, so the men's under 20 and senior men's competition running side by side. And we have a Frenchman currently leading that event, Tom Rieu, with a 57.56. But Connor Bell strikes straight back, 60.69. He's come here to play. Yes. Really good signs. Now over to this 200 field. We've got a good field lining up in this first of the as we see one of the athletes just standing up. So in lane 2, we've got Danielle Aitchison. Is she? Yes, she's there. So Danielle Aitchison had a wonderful Paris Paralympics, World Champs, sorry, Paris World Para Champs.
Yep.
And where she took out the 200 metres with an area record of 28.50. Also in this field, we've got Nadine Houghton, Hunter Avery, Lily Bing, and Isabel Rope from Hastings just on the outside. And we're away. It's a good start there from Nadine Houghton. And Lily Bing now getting up to her speed. Better known as a pole vaulter is Lily Bing. Now Danielle Aitchison getting up to speed as well. And just Hunter Avery, one of the local girls, coming onto the home straight now. Hunter Avery pumping the arms. Can Lily Bing respond? Here comes Hunter Avery up to claim the victory. Gets a big cheer from the home crowd. They really enjoyed that. Danielle Aitchison, that was a good time from her too on the inside. The 200 metre para world champion.
But a popular local victory, as you get here in the background from the pocket of Hastings supporters beneath us, with Hunter Avery in 179, proudly wearing the Hastings Athletic Club singlet to victory here.
Yeah, love that good technique. Hips up, head up, pumping the arms, making sure that technique stays strong right the way to the finish. You know, it's when you're running a good 200, it's often hard to tell how much pain is going through the body over that last 50 metres. But the acidosis is real at that stage of the race. And for that young athlete to stay strong all the way to the finish, really, really good signs. So Brianna Stevenson is still alive and jumping in this women's long jump competition.
She's 5th at the moment with 5:36. She registered on her third jump, 6 centimetres better than her second. So she's lying 5th at the moment, of course, though, in reverse order. Taylor Trow with 4.95 in 8th, 5.07. Hannah Caitlin O'Reilly. Juliet McKinley, 5.10, 6th. And Brianna Stevenson now currently 5th, and looking to get the spectators on the bank to give her a bit of a G up into her 4th jump. Good speed on the runway and a lot of effort, and that looks like a happy jig out of the sand from Brianna Stevenson, looking to improve up the order.
Yeah, no poker face needed there. Great work from Brianna, and we'll wait and see what this comes through it. Sitting in 5th place at the moment with that 5.36, so 36 centimetres off the lead.
I'd say just from her reaction that you'd expect that she'd be well up on that as we get ready here for Hawke's Bay Technologies 200.
Third. So this is the A final of the women's 200 metres. We have Neve Gedja, Sarah Pierce, Kendra Scally-Tui, Mponza, Tabi Mponza, Sachi Kilmeister, Brianna Irving, and Nadia Chiara from the States, running really well. In lane 4 is Kendra Scally-Tui, and on the outside, Brianna Irving. So it looks like these two are going to battle out over the last 50 metres. Who's got that strength? Who can battle that acidosis? And it is Kendra Scally-Tui who hangs on to it. Great strength there from Kendra to hang tough. Having a good challenge from Brianna Irving on the outside.
Pushed her hard. They were the two that had the best personal bests going into it, and they did fight it out over the concluding stages.
Yeah, Brianna Irving was closing. Give her another 10 or 20 metres. Who knows what might have happened, but it is only 200 metres long, and it was a good battle right up to the finish. And it looks like these are the medal winners for one of the junior races, maybe the handicapped 100 metre race.
It was, yeah, and great for the young kids to get out here in front of a crowd and compete. And Certainly remember going to the international track meets and competing in the Kaiapoi singlet, and it's something that gives you inspiration for the future as we catch up on the results of the 200 metres.
Now that would have been a new area record for Danielle Aitchison if it weren't for the pesky tailwind, 3.0 metres per second, so that's above the allowed limit, but that was nice and quick for Danielle.
Ruanui over at the long jump pit after jump number 4. We'll get the distance in a moment. Lara Hockley remains 5th with 4.93 in her 4th. Her best so far 5.41. Mariah 5 metres 61. Her best so far, and 3rd she bumps Brianna Stevenson back.
And there's confirmation of the 200 final. Kendra Skelly Tui taking it out 24.51. Brianna Irving just a 10th of a second back, and then back to Neve Gedja with 25.51.
It's a quick time for Kendra. Obviously the wind over the allowable limit, but not by a great deal. She'd take plenty of satisfaction out of that.
Yeah, great conditions for sprinting. It's one of those days where it doesn't take long to get the body tuned up and warmed up, ready to roll.
Are you getting just a wee bit excited about Zoe Hobbs? I mean, in terms of tonight, what can we expect? Do you know where she's at? I mean, there were a couple of times last year in the domestic season where she was shocked herself at what she was able to record.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's, you know, every year she keeps surprising us. Every year we kind of think, oh, she'll peak sometime in the Northern Hemisphere summer, but she comes out of the blocks absolutely firing at the start of the domestic season as well. So I would expect nothing less than that. She's a competitor, and she doesn't put herself on the line unless she wants to post a good time. You know, we saw her open up last year, getting very close to a New Zealand record, then smashing it at the Wellington Champs. And that looked like it was a foul.
Yes,
to
toe
me.
Over, I think, there for... I was surprised to see the white flag there, because I thought her toe was close to the front, and clearly she wasn't happy as she entered the pit, Hannah, but she remains the current leader with 5.72 in her second round, still by 2 centimetres from Charlotte Goldsmith. As we mentioned, the discus in the back straight, and of course last year Hayden, Connor Bell came out and broke his, set the national record in the pre-POTTS meeting, which he then expanded on when he went to Australia. But I see he threw at the pre-POTTS again. I think he was 65 plus there the other night, so he's clearly in good shape. 22-year-old discus thrower with, you know, the world at his fingertips really.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see him go from strength to strength. 2022 had a bit of a injury wobble, but got straight back on the horse in 2023, as you say, opening up with that New Zealand record, and then over to Melbourne at the Maury Plant meet to post a very impressive national record. And yeah, we just have to keep an eye on him as he enters the circle now. We're just seeing the early stages of this men's pole vault competition, up to 4.52. I think that's Ruben Vogel. Success.
This is
days for Ruben.
This is a really good competition, Hayden. We've got Charlie Myers out of England. He won on Tuesday with 5.32. He's jumped as high as 5.71. We've got Lachlan Burns from Australia. We've got Alexander Arbuthnot from Australia as well. He's young, just 17 years old. Lachlan, though Burns, he jumped or vaulted 5.02 on Tuesday, and James Stain was second on Tuesday with 5 metres 12. So they're in pretty good shape for a really good competition, and it's the biggest international field, if you like, of the night. Yeah,
and that is one of the characteristics of the Pott Classic this year. We've got a great contingent of overseas athletes. I believe it's 8 countries represented today, including New Zealand. So we've got Japanese athletes, Aussies, Brits, Americans.
One from Cameroon.
Yeah, and a Frenchman. All right, Etienne Dupree at 4.52, second round miss, so he'll have one more attempt at that.
Won a senior title back in 2021, did Etienne. And a best of 5 metres 2.
I can tell you that Connor Bell in the discus has now extended out to 61.80, so adds a metre and a bit to his opening throw of 60.69. So he's well and truly in the lead. Tom Rieu of France is in second place with that 57.56, and then it's back to Max Abbott with 47.73. So it's really the Frenchman and Connor going head to head in that discus competition.
And the Frenchman is a 2-time national champion. I think he turns 25 next month, so good for Connor to have some stiff competition here early in the domestic season.
Absolutely, and what a great idea for those Northern Hemisphere athletes to come down here, make a summer holiday of it and get some summer training and come to New Zealand and take part in these meets. So if you're from that part of the world, first of all, bonjour, it's good to have your company, and secondly, if you're an athlete or a coach, bring your team down next summer. It would be great to have you come and compete.
How far does your French extend, Hayden?
Oh, I've probably reached the limit right there. Here we go, Brianna Stevenson sitting in 4th place now. 5.50 in round 4, so the trend is upwards after that early miss. She's still at least half a metre off her best, so there's more in the tank there. She goes through this well-practiced routine. And here she goes, powering down the runway. That light breeze behind her. Did it just blow the foot over?
It did.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, even from our front-on shot there, you could see that the toe was beyond the board and the red flag was out quickly.
So while there's a bit of a lull in the action on the track as we get a replay, just seeing the toe going beyond the plasticine. Not by much from what we could tell with that replay. But as there's a little bit of lull in the track action, reminder, there will be friends and family somewhere around New Zealand, somewhere around the world that do not know that this event is streaming right now. So make sure you jump on that share button and send it to your friends, send it to your club mates, and we'll get eyeballs on screen with this event. There's so much more to come. Of course, we've got Zoe Hobbs, we've got stacked 400s, stacked 800s. We've got Olympians, we've got para world champions. We've got world champ representatives all coming up this evening here at the 25th anniversary of the Potts Classic.
And 3,000 metres to get underway shortly with Richard Potts coaching, and the men and the women combined, due to go any minute now. Next up on the track, Richard, of course, continuing the legacy of his late parents, Sylvia and Alan, and up to year 25, as Hayden mentioned, for the Potts Track and Field Classic. This brought us so many wonderful athletic memories over the last quarter of a century.
All right, here's Mariah Danui. Had some jitters early on in the competition, managed to post a distance in the 3rd round and ensure that she could carry on. Now just waiting, feeling for the breeze. She's got a best of 5.61, which has her in 3rd place at the moment, behind Charlotte Goldsmith, the New Zealand Secondary Schools champ, and behind Hannah Sandilands, the leading Kiwi long jumper from 2023. What's Mariah got here? Gets the white flag. Can't really tell much from that body language.
She's going in for a close look, so she might think she may have improved on the 5.61 as we head back to the pole vault.
Yeah, Nick Southgate. Over.
Mariah's just jumped 5.77, so she did improve. She improved enough to lead. So Mariah Ruranui, the reigning national champion, 5-time national champion, including the last 3, and she has leapt to the top of the board in round 5, but 5.77 plays 5.72 and 5.70. We have got the close competition we expected. Back to the bottom of the order, and Taylor Trout currently in 8th spot into...
Now, I said that was Nick Southgate earlier.
It's
It's definitely not Nick Southgate. It's someone who looks a lot like him. So I'm going to get confirmation on who exactly that was. I probably need to check some bib numbers on that one. It might be one of our 2 guest vaulters, Charlie Myers from England and Tristan Vincent from Australia, or Alexander Arbuthnot. Anyway, Hannah Sandilands, here she is, getting the crowd behind her in round 5. Trying to feed off the energy of this Hastings crowd. Here she is, reigning bronze medalist in the long jump. Eyes fixed on the distance, but it means
flag.
She just stepped over. So that breeze is meaning a few of our athletes are just overshooting the runway.
So that'll mean that Mariah Ruranui will go into the last round with a lead of 5.77. Hannah Sandilands best 5.72 in the second round. Charlotte Goldsmith, the New Zealand Secondary Schools champion, 5.73. So just 7 centimetres separating first and third. And Brianna Stevenson fourth, currently at 5.50 as we will go back to Taylor Trowell. As we work in reverse order, 8 through 1 in the last round of a pretty exciting long jump competition.
Etienne Dupré at the new height of 4.72 and over. Great first time clearance. So Ruben Vogel is out at with a best of 4.32. And we have Charlie Cameron, who got a first time clearance at 4.52. Alexander Arbuthnot has a miss at 4.72. Etienne Dupré, as we see, just go over, and then Tristan Vincent is over at 4.72 as well. All right, so there's the start list for the Open 3,000 metres. Sort of a local feel to this one. Lucas Martin, you can see there, that is a walking time. It's not a running time that we've got listed down for Lucas. Mostly known as one of our premier junior, now senior walkers. He will be running today. Always great to see the walkers mix it up and prove to their distance colleagues that they're not just walkers, they can also run.
Will O'Connor, Lorcan Rebet with our best times in this. Max Taylor also sub 9-minute runner, and good to see the POTTS name continuing out in the Hastings Athletic Club singlets too, Hayden, with Thomas and Cameron both running in the Richard Potts coaching 3,000 metres open, and the women Lucy Jerk and Amanda Waldron.
So we're into this final round of this women's long jump competition. Things are heating up. Juliet McKinley currently sitting with that 5.10 in 6th place. What she can do in the final round. We wait with anticipation. It gets the white flag, yes. Great news. And over. Brilliant. So the bar at 4.72.
That was Lachlan Burns out of Australia, 25-year-old from Victoria, and his best jump 5.25, which he did twice back in 2021. He was over 5 metres on Tuesday night here at the pre-POTTS, which was run in conjunction with the Hastings Athletic Club meeting. As we view the line there, the 3,000 metres. Juliet McKinlay finished with 5.11, produced her best jump last, adding 1 centimetre to her third round jump of 5 metres 10.
All right, Brianna Stevenson, as we see the 3,000 metres get underway, and a mixed race with the 3K, and I am wrong about the walking. Anyway, back to the long jump. We'll come back to that. Brianna Stevenson, final time, looked pretty good on the board to me. We wait with anticipation to get confirmation. Gets the nod, white flag. Brianna Stevenson, we saw her get pretty amped with her result earlier that pushed her up into third, and then later to be nudged down to fourth position with that 5.50 fourth round.
Just noticing too, as we look at the 3,000 metres on the track, that in that previous round of jumps, that wind just dropping down to sort of 1.8, 1.9, even 1.5, so into the legal range, which is kind of ideal when we're coming up to the 100 metres. Brianna Stevenson with 5.70 now joins Charlotte Goldsmith on that mark, but on countback at the moment she remains in fourth spot. She's jumped 5.70 with Charlotte. Charlotte's second best 5.63, which she's done twice. Brianna's second best 5 metres 50.
Wow, so very close running. Now in this event we've got Will O'Connor, Lorcan Rabbit, Jarvis Shaw, Max Taylor, Thomas Potts, Cameron Potts, James Wallace, Lucy Jerk, and Amanda Waldron, and Lucas Martin, who I said would be running. He is in fact walking, so sorry Lucas. But it'll be interesting to see how he goes with the walk today. He'll be running in a race within a race. The race against the clock.
The loneliness of the long-distance walker. But then he won't be lonely for long, because obviously he'll be getting lapped a few times, but he's a very, very good young walker.
Yeah, good to see that new crop of young walkers come through. And sorry about the pun, Jonah. Jonah Crop is the other young walker that we need to keep an eye on coming up through the ranks. But here we go. Competition leader. She has the lead. This will be a victory lap for Mariah Riranui. Well, Hannah's got a response, doesn't she? I think one more to come from Hannah. But here we see Mariah Riranui, arms pumping, eyes ahead now. Good on the board, good in the air. Maybe didn't quite get the lift that she wanted.
Not a lot of air there for Mariah in the last round, but it is the 6th of 6, and she is currently on top. Does have to survive, as you say, though. One more jump from Hannah.
Yeah, also Charlotte Goldsmith has another one, so of course Mariah was sitting further down after a shaky first two attempts. So we've got Max Taylor leading things out, and Will O'Connor just tucked in behind. So Victoria Uni and Lake City Athletics, and here she goes.
Head in the air. She gets the white flag, but not a lot of joy out of the pit for Charlotte as she looked to lift. Only 7 centimetres off the leader into the last jump, but her body language would tell us that won't be an improvement for her. We'll confirm in a moment as we wait for the final jump of the competition. Hannah Sandilands, who needs to find 5 more centimetres.
Incredibly close, isn't it? 7 centimetres separating the top 4 women today at the 25th edition of the Pott Classic. Very tight competition, as you say. She's sitting on 5.72. She only needs to post 5.78, which when you look at the 6.20 she hit last year, You'd think there's a little bit more in the tank, but it's about getting this run up right with this breeze, which I feel like it's dying down. Looking at the wind readings, there's a lot more 1.8, 1.9s compared to the 3s and 4 meters per second earlier in the afternoon. But here we go. Sitting in second place at the moment, Hannah Sandilands. Can she make it first?
Hit the board okay. Gets the white flag. Again, not a lot of joy, but tired jumpers too at the end of competition, where there's only been a matter of centimetres amongst the top jumpers throughout. And when we read out the likely contenders leading into the competition, and they all had personal bests in and around the 6 metres, and they haven't produced that. But Hannah Sandilands has produced a 581 in the final round with the final jump that will take her to a win by 4 centimetres from Mariah Ruranui and Charlotte Goldsmith 570, and Brianna Stevenson 570, 11 centimetres first to fourth. That is a competition.
Oh, that is amazing. Clutch jumping there from Hannah. We know that she had a little bit of a niggly hamstring coming into this, but right when she needed it, pulled it out, and that really sets up what's going to be an exciting summer of long jumping. Not all the top Kiwis are here today, and I'm sure we're going to see lots more from those young ladies throughout the summer. So great result there from Hannah, just edging in front of Mariah Ruranui in second and Charlotte Goldsmith. Now a bit of movement here in this 3000. That bungee cord has stretched in this last lap. We're now down to just 2 and a bit laps to go, and Max Taylor is pulling away from Will O'Connor. So they're inside the last kilometre now. Max Taylor looking nice and strong. And that pace just getting a little bit too hot for Will O'Connor.
6:36 through there, and he is looking the more comfortable of the two runners as Will O'Connor tries to close down that gap, but it's stretching out now to about 30 metres.
Yes, I should go through to post a pretty healthy time. It'll be surely sub 9 for Max. Let's see what he can do over the last 600 metres. But we are back to the pole vault. The bar now up to 492. So things are moving up very close to that magic 5 metre mark in the men's pole vault.
And Tristan Vincent currently leading there at 472. Missed at 492. Lachlan Burns clear 472. That's where he entered. Eddie Dupree still live to 472. As the bell lap sounds in the 3,000 metres.
Will O'Connor gets the bell with 7:55 on the clock, and that sort of sets up what can I do over that last 400. Max Taylor surely will go sub 9 here. He's looking really strong.
I have him down as a best of 8:56, so he's going to clock in around there.
Going past, I think that was Lucy Jerk. But here he comes, 200 metres left to run. He had a bit of company from Will O'Connor for the first couple of K, but with 1K to go, just pulled away and continues to storm to the finish. He's got 100 metres left to run now, looking really composed, really strong. Good rhythm running from Max Taylor of Victoria University. Here he is, he's going to take out the 3,000 metres tonight. It will be very close to his best. 8:58 is the time. Sub 9 clocking, good performance from him. Will O'Connor here coming up to the finish.
About 50 metres back, around 9 minutes 10.
Lucas Martin continues his walk around the track. I don't know if a walk in a running race would count in terms of times, official times, because obviously in the walk it's a judged race as well as a timed race. So I'm looking around to see if there are any walks judges who might be helping him out, but I believe he's out there doing it. But back to Connor Bell, competition leader here in the discus, spinning around that circle. Our New Zealand record holder, world champs representative. Here's Corin Hanning, heaving the discus out. And I believe is the women's winner, Amanda Waldron. I'm just looking, yep, just 80 metres or so ahead of Lucy Jerk. So Amanda Waldron of Hastings Athletics, one of the local girls, gets a big cheer, and she will take out the 3,000 in a handy time, low 10s.
And Lucy Jerk running in the New Zealand Secondary Schools singlet, the New Zealand Secondary Schools team chosen after the National Championships in Christchurch last year. As we head back to the pole vault, just on that discus, Connor Bell's best to date 61.80, so down on what he was throwing on Tuesday night, and probably different conditions by the looks of what they're throwing out there tonight.
So next up on the track will be the 100s, but here's a result, a fourth round summary of where we're at. It's sitting in that lead position is Connor Bell, 61.80. Tom Ryu with a 58.02, and then it's a bit of a battle in the 40s with Max Abbott leading that battle at the moment, Jared Neighbours and Corin Hanning posting a PB today, along with Angus Liver, the multi-eventer.
Personal best, obviously critical for those in behind who know that they're not going to be beating Connor anytime soon, obviously, but looking to post the best that they can in the conditions, and walking away with a personal best to be something else as our walker gets the bell lap. Lucas Martin.
Yeah, Lucas Martin out of Wanganui, looking pretty strong. It won't be a personal best for him, but it's a good outing. And really excited to see how this young man goes this year over the various distances as he moves up into the senior rankings.
In the discus, out of Karori there, Max Abbott, junior national champion from 2021-22.
And we've also got a bunch of juniors throwing the lighter implement. Connor Brown, Nikora Wharehinga Sime, and Blessing Sefor no mark.
Connor's previous 38 and 33, so he's added a bit to that tonight.
And second place, also representing Hastings Athletics with a time of 3:19, Maggie Wild.
So there's the Frenchman, two-time French champion, Tom Ryu.
Through 61.18 last year, last February. Up in the 58s. Some of the youngsters receiving their prizes after earlier races, and we look down to the 100 metres. We will have the first of our sprint action over the straight course in a matter of moments.
So Lucas Martin finishes up his walk, and yeah, I'm so excited about this first Para 100. It's going to be a great rematch of the New Zealand champs earlier in the year down in Wellington, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds. But all eyes right now on this man in round 5. He's out to 61.80. It's just about 3 metres off his national record. Here he is, Connor Bell, spinning, heaving, and doesn't like it. Fouls out. He'll have one more throw. Throwing the discus into what's now a gentle to moderate wind, would you say? It's definitely dying, which is perfect timing for these 100-metre heats.
It certainly is. And Lawson Robinson, barristers and solicitors, bringing us the 100-metre action tonight. And we've got some outstanding heats of both men's and particularly women's. Of course, Zoe Hobbs, the headline act here.
So Corin Hanning on screen, he's got a best today of 41.35, so that's a personal best. So enjoying his day in the discus circle, going through those motions, reminding his body of that well-practiced movement. It's a little bit like, if you grow up as a bowler in cricket, you'll do the arm action of a cricket bowl wherever you are as a kid, and it's almost like that with the throwers. They'll be in the lounge practicing their throws. They'll be waiting in a airport waiting lounge practicing their throws, and that well-practiced movement, because it really is a 6-7 step dance across the circle, and you need to maintain the balance. You need to maintain that length of the arm to give as much momentum and force to that discus as possible.
One round to go there. Going to the blocks, Hayden, Joe Smith, Mitch Joint, Jackson Woolley and Joshua Cameron Taylor in the 100-metre para.
Oh, I'm very excited about this one. This is going to be absolutely electric. These four lining up again. A rematch from the New Zealand champs. Here they go, looking really, really strong. On the inside is Joe Smith. Mitch Joint coming strong now, right through the middle, bursts through. Breaks up that lead from Joe Smith and Jackson Woolley.
Brilliant finish from Mitch once he wound up.
Wow, once he got up to speed, boy, it's hard to stop that man. And really goes to show why he claimed a bronze in the 200 metres at the World Paras last year. With that speed endurance, really came into it. Of course, we'll have to work out the percentages as we do with any para competition, but usually when Mitch Joint finishes ahead, he will take it out.
11.96 his time recorded, 12.11 for Joe Smith, Jackson Woolley 12.18 and 13.85 for Joshua Taylor as we see the 3,000 metre finals. Max Taylor 8.57.95 confirmed as a personal best there. Over Will O'Connor 9.09.78 and Cameron Potts, who has also achieved a personal best in third.
All right, Max Abbott from Karori. They look pretty good. I want to say that was out pretty close to that 50-metre mark. Remember, he's sitting in third with that 47.73 from way back in round one. He's had a handful of fouls since then. And as we pan over to the Frenchman, Tommy Cliou. Hope I'm getting that pronunciation roughly right.
I'm going to go with it.
All right, Etienne Barr at 4.92, second attempt, no. So missing. So the Aussies are looking pretty strong at the moment. Now, crucially in the Para 100, I can tell you the wind reading was a very handy 1.5 metres per second tailwind. So that's great signs for what's to come as we get into blocks. For the first of our heats of the 100 metres, we've got 3 heats in the senior men's. And the first heat is going to feature in lane 2. We've got Alex Frost wearing the, call it an aqua and yellow of Hamilton City Hawks. Next to him, Cody Wilson. Great to see Cody Wilson coming back into some really solid form. Then we've got Connor Brown from Athletics Tauranga, Tyrone Trego in lane 5, Ryan Schotter from Hastings, and Joshua Adegoke from Hastings next to him. Leo Youssef will run on the outside. So
on the outside, ran earlier in the 200 metres. Good to see the two Mana athletes, Cody Wilson, Tyrone Trego, together.
Yeah, good start in lane 3 there from Cody Wilson, already steaming ahead. It's going to be very close for second, but Cody Wilson having the luxury of being able to just ease up.
Trego through to second, and I think Joshua Adegoke lined up and wound up into third spot, but it'll be Amana Quinella there with Cody Wilson looking really sharp.
Here we go, final throw for Connor Bell, the New Zealand record holder, world champs representative. Got a best of 61.80. What can he do in the final throw? It's going out, it's going way beyond 60. The arms are pumping. Oh, yes. If things weren't hot in Hastings already, he's just turned up the thermometer here at Mitre 10 Park. Boy, oh boy, Connor Bell. Let's get the measuring tape out. I want to see what we've got here. Fingers crossed. Boy, oh boy. Hold on to your horses, ladies and gentlemen.
He threw 65 metres plus on Tuesday. He'd been well below that today. He knew it was there. He's produced it in the final throw as this wind just dies in his face. And we'll get this measurement for you, but clearly happy with it. And
so New Zealand record 66.23 at the moment. This looked mid-60s. Six, 4, 7, 8. Wow, it's a meet record for Connor Bell. It's not a national record, but that sets the tone for the summer to come. Connor Bell is fit and he's ready for more. Wow, what a way to finish round 6. He got out of the blocks nice and strong with a 61.80 in round 2. Had a couple of fouls and then 64.78, heaving it into the Hastings sky. And he will be a happy boy. Tom Ryu will finish in second with a 57.84. Max Abbott, 47.08.
3 years since he set the meet record at 64.29, 64.78, our second meet record for the night, and extra money coming their way out of the Potts Classic. Here's Heat 2 of the men's open 100 metres. It does feature Joe Dolphin and Joseph Miller. And a pretty hot lineup.
Those two coming back from the 200, of course, right in the middle of your screen. You've got Ethan Phillips, Jacob Stockwell, New Zealand under-17 record holder, Zion Samuels, Joe Dolphin, Joseph Miller, Arian Wellinge, Rylan Newmay, and Kurt Sweeney. Looking good, Joseph Miller at the moment, but here comes Rylan Newmay. The speed that took him to 200-metre secondary school titles. There we see it on display in the closing stages, and almost is saying to himself, don't get too excited, Rylan. Early stages.
He looked outstanding over the concluding stages. Close tussle for him at the New Zealand secondary schools in that 200 to beat Joe Dolphin here. In the 100, Joe, of course, won the 100 New Zealand secondary schools, but he's back here in about 4th place at the moment as Rylan Noom comes past Joseph Miller, who eases down, bearing in mind we do have a final upcoming.
Yeah, interesting that Joseph just backed off the gas at the end there. There's confirmation of Heat 1, so we just saw Heat 2. Cody Wilson, great time there from 10.64. That must be pretty close to a personal best for Cody. I'll need to look up his stats, but that wind rating of 1.5 metres per second is encouraging signs.
It is.
Given the fact that we have Zoe Hobbs coming up very soon. Temperatures are still nice and warm despite the building cloud, and I've got to say, looking out to the east, it's threatening. It sure is threatening.
Cody I've got down as a best of 10 and 52. He's been 10.64 there. Joshua Adegoke went close to 11 seconds there. He's come up with a personal best of 11.01, so a mark there beckoning for Joshua to crack soon as we look forward to the next heat of the 100 metres coming soon.
Final attempt at 4.92 for Charlie Cameron. So there's Ryland Newmate, personal best 10.62, and look at that perfect tailwind. There's brilliant conditions for sprinting right now. 10.62, that's a big personal best, and no wonder he was just pumping the air when he finished, just thinking, boy, don't get too excited because this is going to be a cracker of a final still to come. Joseph Miller does hang on for second, so there'll be an auto qualifier for the final. Arian Wellinge.
He's been terrific tonight. 21.86 in the 200 and then a personal best in the 100 as well. He's in outstanding shape.
And now getting into their blocks, the third and final heat for the senior men's 100. We've got one lane missing, lane 6. That's Troy Middleton, who won't be taking part in this. But it's a great field again. We've got Angus Liver, Lucas Lambert, Liam Kilby, Hayato Yanito, Zachary Saunders, Luke Jarvis, and then Alexander Hewitt. And a really good start from Zachary Saunders and Hayato Yanito next to him. It's pretty blanket at the moment. Angus Liver looking really good, but here comes Yanito pulling away. Yanito will take it. Angus Liver on the inside. Looks like he nabbed that second spot. Zachary Saunders, the Commonwealth Games representative, will need to wait and see if that third place time will be fast enough for a spot in the final. But Yanito looking nice and strong.
200-metre winner from earlier and carrying that across to the 100 metres and just looking nice and relaxed right throughout the race there. They were even early. They pulled through. Angus Liver through on the inside, giving plenty, but pretty comfortable in the end for Hayato, and Lucas Lambert coming through in third spot.
Yeah, beautiful energy from Yanito. Love that arm carriage. Really driving those arms, giving good speed to the legs. Good composure over that last 20, 30 metres.
10.61 the time, 10.69. Angus Liver was good. Zach Saunders, of course, third. Not Lucas Lambert, who was back in fifth spot. And Zachary Saunders in lane 5, third. 10.77 will get him through.
So wins on that one, 2.4. First attempt at 5.02, pushes the bar off. So,
and those 100-metre finals coming up later. The elite men's at 7 o'clock and the elite women's 7.05, and of course the women going to the blocks shortly for their heats.
So I'm pretty sure Zachary Saunders will get through with that 10.77. And quick time from Yanito, 2.4 wind reading, however. So just above that legal 2 metres per second. But moving on from the men's, we've got the women's 100-metre heats, and we've just got the 2 heats for the women. A couple of empty lanes in this one as well, so some last-minute scratchings. And I'm just... No, I was worried because lane 3 was occupied by Zoe Hobbs, and I was like, where is she?
Yep.
She was just hiding behind one of the marshals. So she's there. Now in this race, we've got Michaela Stanton from Hastings Athletics. Zoe Hobbs needs practically no introduction. Oceania record holder, 10.96, absolute queen of sprinting in this part of the world. Abby Goldie will be running next to her. Big moment for that young lady. And Tabion Ponza from Hastings in lane 5. Nem Gedji from Paraparaumu in lane 6. Georgia Gibbons in lane 7. And Brianna Irving in lane 8. So see who can hang with Zoe Hobbs. What an experience for these young women to be lining up to next to the likes of Zoe.
Some with PBs of 13 seconds. Zoe, of course, sub 11 here in lane 3. This is one of the people we have come to see tonight, the 25th anniversary of the Pott Classic here in Hastings.
First heat of 2. In the women's 100 metres, 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Zoe Hobbs is up onto her toes now, pulling away. Look at that great technique, arms driving. Oh, she's looking good, New Zealand. She's looking fit, she's looking fast, coasting her way, opening up her campaign of 2024 and looking excellent. Mark Rosanowski.
She won't be far off 11 seconds there. Her start was so good, I actually thought that she may have broken. She came out very, very quickly indeed. She was always going to look quick against her rivals here, but she has come up at 11.25. 11.25 I'm seeing, with Goldie second at 12 flat and 12.05 from Irving in third spot. So Abby Goldie second, Brianna Irving third out in lane 8. Zoe Hobbs 11 in 25. Brilliant start, and then just the maintenance of her stride throughout.
Yeah, amazing. So that's been rounded down to 11.24, which go back a couple of years ago and we're talking national records. So she's doing that in a heat early season. Man, we've got so much more to come. So once again, reinforce that point that I made earlier. Hit that share button, send the link out to your friends and whānau and clubmates, because there's some action still to come in the 100 metres, and there's confirmation of those results.
Brianna Irving, it's a significant personal best for her, 12.05, so she'd be delighted as she makes her way through to the final, as will Georgia Gibbons with 12.14.
I mean, we're used to having rabbits in distance races, but right there, all those athletes had the perfect rabbit in the sprints to pull them along and chase on the heels of the fastest Kiwi woman ever.
And indeed the fastest in Oceania. Truly remarkable. We do have a very quick Australian coming up in this heat though, Hayden.
Yeah, Bree Masters, ranked number 1. And I believe the silver medalist from the Australian champs last year. But she'll be running in lane 6 wearing 2.79. We also have Jordan Blake in lane 2. Looks like Livy Wilson is a scratching from this one. Charlotte Goldsmith wearing the New Zealand colours for the New Zealand secondary schools team. Portia Bing, the 400 metre hurdles record holder and world champs representative, in lane 5. She'll be running right next to Bree Masters, who has a PB of 11.23. Then we've got Lily Bing, the sister, of course, of Portia Bing, and Juliet McKinley from Palmerston North. So really a question of how long can the likes of Charlotte Goldsmith and Portia Bing hang with the speed of this very fast Australian, Bree Masters, who'll be loving these conditions.
They feel very much like home for sure. And Portia Bing's been down to the Lovelock Classic, so she's been doing a bit, and she's here tonight, and she's been reasonably sharp over the shorter distances. The national record over the 400 metre hurdles.
Yeah, it's always great to see the hurdlers working on their flat speed. And Portia started her career as a heptathlete, performed really, really well, and then made that shift. I don't know exactly what convinced her to do the 400 hurdles, because it probably is the most painful event you could possibly come up with. But she actually likes it. She's got an analytical mind, and she likes that interruption of the hurdles every few metres. Maybe it just blocks you. Having something to think about blocks the pain. Now, I can see Livy Wilson in the background.
Yeah,
there,
and Rosie Elliott as well sitting down. So is there a third heat of this? The heats have changed significantly. Georgia Hull's scratching, which is a great shame. Georgia, a local who's done so well in representing New Zealand over the 200 metres the last couple of World Championships. Georgia is scratching today, but it looks like this has been rejigged, Hayden, and that we will have a third heat, and Rosie Elliott and Livy Wilson, two of our finest exponents, will be in that heat. Brianna Stevenson off the back of the long jump out there too. Of course, Charlotte Goldsmith, New Zealand secondary schools long jump champion, and really competitive tonight. She's out there sprinting now alongside of Portia Bing. I think Portia ran 11.91 down there in Timaru, so she's in sub-12 form.
Right, now we're into the blocks after a slight delay. Bree Masters separated by the two Bing sisters. And we've got Jordan Blake, Charlotte Goldsmith, Portia Bing, Bree Masters, Lily Bing, Juliet McKinley. This is the second heat. Portia Bing hanging with the pace at the moment, but Bree Masters gets on the toes, pulls away. Look at that. Oh, really good from Bree Masters. Just pulling away from Portia Bing. Jordan Blake looking really nice and strong in lane 2 as well, coming through for third. She'll be hoping that she can get one of those next 2 fastest places to make it through to the final potentially. But Portia Bing and Bree Masters will make their way through to the final.
And Bree setting things up nicely for a clash with Zoe Hobbs. Not too far from now. And she's clocked in 11:47, Bing 11:84, so she continues some good early season form.
Wind reading 0.4 meters per second tailwind, so
just really dropped away, hasn't it? The flag's just quite limp now, and just hope they're not going to start spinning the other way with any form of change, Hayden. We just need another hour and a half would be perfect of this.
Yeah, right on cue as per the forecast, and there's confirmation. So season's best for Portia and Jordan. 11:47 for Bree, so that's a really good time for Bree Masters, getting her Kiwi campaign rolling. And I can tell you there is a third heat. So there is a third heat coming.
And it's worth waiting for
thankfully,
too, with the 200-metre national record holder Rosie Elliott in it, Livy Wilson as well. There's Sam Tanner, he'll be pacemaking in the 800 a little later. He'll be competitive all the way to the line, don't you worry about that.
No doubt giving a few starting tips to Bree Masters there. Maybe about how to set up your blocks accurately. Distance runners, usually founts of wisdom wherever they go, whatever topic they can jump in on. But here we go. Here's the start list for the third and final 100-metre heat. We've got Shael Collette, the well-performed junior, will be running next to Rosie Elliott, the silver medalist and 400-metre champion. Alexandra Domansky is running in lane 4. Brianna Stevenson over from the long jump in lane 5. Sasha Kilmister is running in lane 6. Brooke Summerfield running in lane 7. Kendra Skelly-Tui coming back after her 200-metre earlier in the day. She is running on the outside. So great to see Brooke Summerfield, the bronze medalist from the national champs earlier in the year.
It's a very good heat, this.
And you've got Shael Collette. So, oh yeah, so close. Bar up to 5:12 now in the men's pole vault. So Lachlan Burns out of Australia. First attempt at 5:12. Takes it down with the chest. So had the height, but of course you've got to get that projection over. So sometimes you sacrifice a little bit of height for distance. And on that occasion, just the body mass coming down on the bar. But here we go. We are in the blocks for the final, well, the third and final heat of the 100 metres. We've got Shael Collette, Rosie Elliott, Alexandra Domansky, Brianna Stevenson, Sasha Kilmeister, Brooke Summerfield, Kendra Skelly-Tui. And we're away cleanly in the final heat here. Off to a good start was Brianna Stevenson. Now up onto the toes is Rosie Elliott. Right next to her, Shael Collette. But here comes Rosie Elliott. Brooke Summerfield looking strong as well. Very close between those two, Brooke Summerfield and Rosie Elliott. And Shael, the youngster, hanging tough.
Very close finish there with Rosie looking tall and strong throughout, but Brooke Summerfield had the lead, probably 50 metres down. Very little between the pair.
So Rosie Elliott this year making a conscious effort that she's going to be a 200-metre runner this year after dabbling with the one-lapper. But look at this, great finish from Brooke Summerfield. Wonderful speed endurance over those last 20 metres to really push through the line.
11.71, she's credited with the win, 1/100th of a second clear of Summerfield, 11.72, and Shale Collette, 11.79 for the rising talent.
So her sister Adira, currently not competing, had a bit of an accident last year with her hand, but you can see great technique from Brooke Summerfield to finish strongly, and Rosie Elliott, our New Zealand 200 metre record holder, being challenged over those last few metres.
So used to seeing the Collette sisters run together. We have known them to dead heat, extraordinarily enough. I could have told Rosie if she wanted to ask me that the 400 is just a killer. It's from running many around QE2 Park, the former home of athletics, in Christchurch, and chasing a rogue redhead in the form of Sean Farrell, who still owns the national record over the 400 metres.
Right, Lachlan Burns, the lone Aussie left in the competition. This is his second attempt at 5.12, unsuccessful. So we saw Tristan Vincent bow out with a best of 4.92. So there's confirmation of that dead heat between Rosie and Brooke Summerfield. So that must have been down to the hundredths of second. So pretty impressive, showing the importance of running all the way through the line. Like every coach tells you in junior athletics, don't slow up at the line. Brooke Summerfield just underlining that point brilliantly.
Collette just behind them in 11.79. Just in that pole vault, I don't think we've seen James Stain on camera yet, but he is over 5 metres 12. He missed it his first attempt. It was his opening height, but he cleared it with his second. Charlie Myers out of England clear at 5.02, so he's looking to step up now. Here's the results of the 100 metre heats with Zoe Hobbs 11.24, Bree Masters out of Australia 11.47, then Rosie Elliott, Brooke Summerfield both credited with 11.72, Shale Collette 11.79, Portia Bing 11.84, Abby Goldie, and rounding out the top 8, Brianna Stevenson, Brianna Irving at 12.05, and a number of PBs and season's best. I guess we're going to see quite a few of those at this stage of the season, Hayden, but PB there for Brianna Irving.
That sets up a wonderful final for later in the night. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do need to duck away, I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do need to duck away, make sure you set your clocks for later in the evening at 7 o'clock. The men's and women's 100 metre finals will take place. So just a little under an hour away, and that is going to be an epic battle of Zoe versus Bree versus the pack. And we are in a golden era right now of female sprinting in New Zealand. And remember a couple of years ago when we sent a team of women across to the Australian champs, and they took out all titles, all victories across the sprint distances, did our Kiwi sprint women. And we really are in the golden era, all-time great era of New Zealand female sprinting.
And if we can just bottle these conditions, Hayden, if we can just bottle them, keep them for 3/4 of an hour.
Yeah, because there's some big old black clouds looking more in the south actually, and the wind has been coming from the north, so that kind of says to me maybe we should be all good. It's looking clear to the north, so I'm no weatherman, but that suggests that we should be staying dry at least for the next half an hour or so.
Indeed, should be enough. We need it till the end of the program because we've got two outstanding 800 metre races to wrap up the night. They are the highlights of this POTTS Track and Field Classic for 2024, the 25th anniversary, as we head back to the pole vault.
Yeah, Lachlan Burns just bringing it down for the third time. So we say goodbye to the second Australian in the Andrew Spence Pharmacy's men's pole vault. He goes and thanks the officials, thanks the crowd. 5.02 will be his best today, and that will leave James Stain and Charlie Myers in the competition together.
Myers
Charlie
passed
Myers,
at
the British
5:12
athlete.
there, so he cleared 5:02, passed at 5:12, hence Stein currently being the leader. And the bar about to move for our 2 remaining.
Yeah, Charlie Myers best of 571, which is a whopping 21 centimetres better than what James Stein has ever done. So that would suggest that confidence of skipping at 5:12 is worth it, knowing that he's got at least a half metre in him.
He cleared 5:32 on Tuesday, did Charlie Myers in the pre-POTTS, and James 5:12 on Tuesday. We know he is capable of 5 metres 50 at his best.
So next up on the track will be the 400s, and we've got some absolute barn burners coming up in the men's 400 and the women's 400. Really some good matchups that we've seen before at national champs, and it'll be great to see how these athletes are looking early season over the one lapper. But here's Charlie Myers. The bar has gone up. 5:22, first attempt, up he goes into the Hawke's Bay sky, and easy as you like. He'll be loving these much lighter wind conditions. The women had to deal with a fairly strong tailwind breeze on that runway, but it's around that sort of 0.4 to about 2 metres per second tailwind, which really is ideal.
Still 10 centimetres shy of what he did on Tuesday, but he had all that to spare in that particular vault. And James Stein will look to up the ante and try and keep the competition going for as long as he can. 400 metres is sponsored by Scott Clinic. Got some wonderful sponsors that have been with the Pott Classic for a number of years. Scott Clinic's based in Hastings and specialises in services ranging from oral, skin and head and neck problems. And speaking of those sponsors, I might just show a few of those that have been able to bring us this competition here tonight that's seen 2 meeting records so far, to Anthony Nobilo in the men's hammer throw, and also Connor Bell with his last throw of the men's discus, both breaking their own meeting records and getting a nice little bonus on top of what they can earn tonight.
All right, Charlie Myers, second attempt. Oh, first attempt, sorry, at the new height, 5:32, and over, he clips it. It wobbles, but it sticks on. 5:32, job done, moving up in the world, and we haven't seen James Stein, so I am assuming that he passed at 5:22, moving straight to 5:32, and look at this. Slim margin for error, and just gives it a little tickle, and over he goes. So just that release arm, right arm, he shakes their head saying, oh, that was close.
And that's what he was able to vault here on Tuesday. He equals that at 5:32. And James Stein looking to respond, having passed at 5:22. First attempt 5:32 as he psychs himself up for his attempt.
So the reigning New Zealand champ.
3 senior titles in all, and second all time with 551 centimetre behind Paul Gibbons.
Oh no. So just a little bit short there. Pulled the pin last minute as he approached the bar. So 5:32. This will be a good clearance if he can manage it. He did 5:12 earlier in the week. But Charlie Myers moves into the lead with that clearance. Pressure on James Stein now.
I thought his plant would look okay, but as he got closer to the bar, as you say, he pulled out of the attempt effectively. And the heat on them now to stay live in the Andrew Spence Pharmacies pole vault. Andrew Spence Pharmacies, 4 locations, and they are the headline sponsor for tonight, along with all of the other great sponsors we've got, local and beyond. As we look down to the track and the 400 metres, blocks in place, the Craig's Investment Partners 400 metres women's.
So in this heat, we've got 5 ladies lining up. We've got Holly Rule in lane 2. In lane 3 is Nadia Chiara, who we saw earlier, representing USA and also Hamilton City Hawks. We've got Vanessa Hodge from Palmerston North Athletics, Olivia McDowell, her teammate, also from Palmy, and then Georgia Rope from Hastings running in lane 6. And she will have the support of the home crowd that's really starting to fill in behind her. You can see on the right of your screen next to us in the commentary space, the grandstand really beginning to fill up. Everyone's aware that in half an hour we're going to see some absolutely electric 100-metre finals going, with Zoe Hobbs and Bria Masters going head-to-head. But here they go, getting into their blocks. This is the first heat of 2. First final, I should say, of the women's 400.
Holly Rule with comfortably the fastest personal best of 55 and 59 off lane 2 for Athletics Wanganui.
And they're away nice and cleanly. Holly Rule up to speed early, really powering into that first bend. And it is the case that when you've got to split the field up into 2 separate finals, one athlete who would fancy themselves as being able to be in that A final has to do a bit of a time trial out the front, but so far so good from Holly Rule. She's made up all of the stagger as we get towards the 200-metre mark. There we go, halfway in about 28 seconds, so on track for something sub 60. Here they come into that painful part of the 400. Holly Rule looking pretty strong just on the outside of her. Nadia Chiara looking pretty good in lane 3 as well. But here comes Holly Rule onto the home straight. It is Holly Rule, Nadia Chiara in second place, and then on the outside, Georgia Rope sitting in third, holding on to this lead. Holly Rule, she's coming up to the line now, gets a big applause from the crowd, finishes in about 57 high, 58 seconds.
Probably quite a tough run for her that last 100 metres, because she was a long way in front, and as you point out, it's a gut buster, and when you turn for home 300 metres, the lactic acid in the quads, and you look down the lane, and obviously it's tough if you're in behind, but when you're up front comfortably, it still hurts. And Holly Rule's been a comfortable winner from our United States athlete.
Here comes James Stain on the runway, attempt 2, 5:32. Yes, he's over, it sticks. He touched it, it was a big old touch. And much like his British counterpart, he shook his head saying, my goodness, that was close. So Charlie Myers, James Stain, they are over at 5:32. And here we go. Our lone athlete from Africa, from Cameroon. This is a well-ranked discus thrower out of the Cameroon, as I switch over to the start list for the women's discus.
She's thrown 58 metres and 5 in the past, 57 metres this season, but should be a good battle with Tatiana Kamoana in there, and Natalia Rankin-Chittar, one of our rising throwing stars as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So Nora Moni is the Cameroon competitor, national champion, silver at the African champs. So well-performed thrower. So great to have her training and competing here in New Zealand.
Kate Halley stepping into the circle, the New Zealand secondary schools. She was involved in an incredible shot put final down there that she came through and won. She's best of 43.96, but she stepped out the front here, and there'll be no measure for her first throw. It's the Ziwi Taste Life in New Zealand women's discus at the Potts Track and Field Classic.
We've also got Australian Charlie's Goody in there as well. And Michaela Sola representing Samoa. A big feature of the Aotearoa discus and throwing scene. But here we go, James Stain, first attempt at 5:42. Oh, that looked good. He certainly had the height, but again, that projection over it just ran out of puff as he hit the top of his vault.
And notwithstanding, it's within 10 centimetres of the national record, 9 to be precise. So he's getting up there for James, and he should take some confidence out of that attempt, and we hope he can into his second attempt. Just back to the discus, the pre-POTTS meeting on Tuesday, Natalia Rankin-Chittar getting out to 49.69 there, and the Australian competitor you mentioned out of Ipswich, Charlie's Goody, was able to throw 48.67 on Tuesday, and also got the javelin out to around 44 metres.
So it looks like we've got a couple of scratchings from this B final in the men's 400. We've got Hunter Lyford and Jonathan Maples and Joshua Taylor. And that was a foul from Susanna Kennelly, who was second at the recent New Zealand Secondary Schools Champs and the Under-18 Champs. So just 3 athletes in this one lapper. We've got Jonathan Maples, he's pulling away from the field at the moment. Joshua Cameron, T20 athlete, running in lane 6. And on the inside, Hunter Lyford is running in the white singlet there of Napier Athletics. But Jonathan Maples pulling away with this one at the moment. Better known as a 400 hurdler, but seeing how his flat speed's looking, and so far so good as he rounds 300 metres and comes into the home straight with 100 metres left to run. Looking strong, still full of running as he comes up towards the finish. Jonathan Maples, he's going to be your winner, and just a tick over 50 seconds. I want to say 51 flat. And here comes Hunter Lyford in under 60 seconds. And Joshua Taylor, sorry.
Getting a great reception home in third, and we'll check their times. Joshua's best around
Lachlan over 5:42. That's a big one. We heard the yowl. Second attempt, and the fist pump is there. Oh, big moment in this men's pole vault competition with just James Stain, Charlie Myers left in it. So the Brit has a firm control of the lead right now.
As I say, from that first attempt at 5:42, James should take some confidence that he can crack this here tonight as he closes in on his personal best of 5 metres 50. Still a good number of people over on the far bank as we have a 200 metre presentation.
Representing Waitakere City Athletics with a time of 24.51, Kendra Scully-Tui.
Kendra Scully-Tui home first in the 200 metres winning.
All right, here we go, James Stain. This is a big one. 5:42, second attempt, needs this. Oh, it was a similar attempt to the first one, but that certainly puts him in the passenger seat in this race for pole vault superiority. Goes over to have a look at the footage, see what might need to change for a final attempt at 5:42. Charlie Myers is clear.
He did attack it, but you could tell as he got close as we watched Charlie Myers.
Yeah, look at that. room to spare for Charlie. You know, that fist bump was certainly warranted, because from a long view away from the bar, it looked like a good 20 centimetres between him and the bar. So good height from Charlie Myers. So he's enjoying these conditions here in New Zealand. So we skip back to this women's discus competition, early stages.
.201, Charlie's Goody out of Australia.
And we don't have any results coming through right at the moment, but as they do, we will update you. So Charlie's, as you were saying, best of 49.97, so she'll have her sights on that 50-metre mark today. And ideal discus throwing, just throwing it into a gentle northerly, beautiful warm conditions.
We saw earlier Connor Bell coming out with his meet record on the final throw as that wind effectively died away to probably its lowest ebb in that competition when he pulled out his best right at the very end.
Here we go. Here's Nora Money. Oh, that looked pretty strong. That is well out into the 50s. She's got a best of 58.05 as the African Championship silver medalist.
As you say, Hayden, just not getting any updates on these live throws at this stage. The results have been pretty good. Here's
Final
James.
attempt for James, third attempt, 5.42. He was over.
He was.
The arm clipped it, that left arm, and he's got to laugh because the body was over. That arm just had to do a little bit too much work on the bar.
Well, he knows it's there. He knows it's there.
Well, he just muscled his way over, and that muscling just left the hand on for a little bit too long on the pole. You can see here, push, and then left it a bit too long. Had to whip it back up and over. Well, he knows it's in him.
Well,
and he knows exactly what he needed to do to get over that one. But there he goes. He'll finish in second. Pretty good outing for James Stain, 5.32. But it means Charlie Myers will be your victor, and we'll wait and see whether he will carry on. Now here's the big one. This is a huge A final in the women's 400 metres. This is going to be a great matchup between these talented women. We've got Jordan Blake running in lane 2, Zita Mio from Hastings in lane 3. Then it's onto the big three names. We've got Cameron Smart, best time of 53.85. Next to her, Portia Bing, best of 52.78. Isabel Neal in lane 6, best of 52.70. Then we move out to Emily Fairclough and Kate Borton. This is a wonderful field. Here we go at the Potts Classic, the 25th edition. This is the women's 400 A final. Look at lanes 4, 5 and 6, and don't count out lane 7 with Emily Fairclough, the New Zealand Secondary Schools champion. But early stages would suggest that maybe Isabel Neal has gone out strongly. Portia Bing also off to a good start. Cameron Smart, what are we going to see from her? That's pretty even. Maybe Cameron Smart with a slight edge as they come into the 200 metre stagger. As I say that, Portia Bing pulling away now. Portia Bing really driving the arms. She's going to come into the home straight in the lead. Is Isabel Neal going to be able to respond? What about Cameron Smart? Who's got the endurance? Portia Bing pulling away here over the last 100 metres. This is the strength that has taken her to the world champs in the 400 hurdles. This is the strength that has taken her to those heptathlete glories. What a time from Portia Bing. She will take the bragging rights. In second place, it's Isabel Neal. Cameron Smart, third place. Boy, oh boy, Portia really owned that last 200 metres.
that was a really measured start from her in the first 200 metres, relatively conservative. Of course, she's coming off a pretty decent 100 metres as well, and a season best from her there. She's feeling sharp, but over the concluding stages, coming across the top, as you say, the strength, no hurdles in the way today, and pulling out over the concluding stages. As we head back to the pole vault, and the Englishman continues.
Here's Charlie Myers, bar at 5:52. No. Definitely need some good tweaks. And we'll keep an eye on whether he's still keen to give it a crack or whether his day at the office is done and dusted. Remember, his personal best is 5:70, so little room still, but it's certainly getting up to all-time levels. And look at the strength from Portia Bing.
53.77, the board reading there. We'll get the official confirmed time shortly. Sometimes they vary by 100th of a second or so, but that's all. And down to 53.76, that final time granted to Portia Bing.
Isabel Neal, 55.06 in second place. Cameron Smart, 55.31, so close running there. Jordan Blake getting up for fourth place, 55.91. Emily Fairclough, 56.26, the secondary schools champ. Kate Borton, 58.87, and Zita Mio just dipping beneath that magic 60-second mark.
Getting back to the discus as the track events continue, and the blocks getting down for the next race at the 400 metres. Just a fraction behind time on the track.
So the woman throwing the 1 kg discus.
Carmen Elizabeth Moritz waiting for her next throw there as we get back to the 400 metre start.
And apologies, we're not getting the live results. Don't know, Mark, if you're getting any of those discus live results.
I'll keep working on it during this.
We'll keep refreshing screens.
Because the results have been great so far, but they're just not coming up for that discus, unfortunately.
So here's the start list for the B 400 metre final. And much like the women's, we can expect a barn burner in the men's 400s.
National champion Lex Revel-Lewis there, 47.36.
Which makes me think maybe we've got the wrong start list in front of us there. So this one. Oh, yeah, so we're on to the A final, of course. So right, so that was the right list. Wrong heading. We're getting there. So we've got the 400A final. So we've got Charles Royal in lane 1. Outside of him, Jacob Kilmaster in lane 2. Joe Berman is running in lane 3. Matthew Eadie in lane 4. Jackson Rogers in lane 5. Lex Revel-Lewis, the national champ, in lane 6. Fergus McLeay in lane 7. And Aidan Porritt in lane 8.
So this is the men's A 400 here, and McLeay's in really good shape too. Should be a good battle between lanes 6 and 7 here.
Yeah, rematch of the national championships with the gold medalists and the silver medalists. Here we go, 400 A final here at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Warm conditions, great conditions for sprinting, and there you can see the big strides of Lex Revel-Lewis getting up to speed as he leads out this pack around the bend. Lex Revel-Lewis in lane 6 looking pretty good in these early stages. Any sign from Fergus McLeay outside of him? He certainly made up that stagger, so it's a fast start from Lex Revel-Lewis wearing the green of Waitakere City. Lex Revel-Lewis will come round onto the home straight with a commanding lead. What's he got over this last 100 metres? The arms are pumping. The strides are looking strong. Can he hold on in the last 50 metres for a great time? Lex Revel-Lewis all the way to the line.
And
rolling over
to the track.
Finish.
He was spent.
Fergus McLeay in second. Jackson Rogers third. What a run from Lex Revel-Lewis, pouring everything out. You know, they say the goal is to be absolutely depleted at 401 metres, and it'd be safe to say that's the condition of his body at that stage in the race.
It looked like a tactical ploy to attack hard early and to make Fergus know that he was there immediately. And as you say, he made that stagger up so quickly and he was dominant from there. Obviously, when you go that hard, there's pain up the straight. There's pain in every 400 metres that you run, but particularly when you pump hard through that 200 metres like he did. But he'd won the mental game by then, and he was a long, long way clear.
Well, we've got times coming through, 47.34, so that's a meet record. Absolutely impressive from Lex Rebel Lewis and showing the sort of shape that he's in. So that's a personal best by 0.02 of a second. So boys and girls, that's why you empty the tank right at the finish, because there could be a personal best waiting for you. It might only be by 200s, but what a run from Lex Rebel Lewis to punch a new meet record. And look at that victory, only 2 sub 50. But what a run from Lex Rebel Lewis. And we're really excited with New Zealand 400 metre running, men's and women's at the moment. But we've got the likes of Tommy Tapuni. He's knocking on the door of sub 47, even low 46s potentially. There was a hand-timed 400 from Tommy Tapuni late last year that suggested we could be on the cards of a 46 something or maybe even a 45 something, but unfortunately the timing didn't work that day. So
Tommy Tapuni had the meeting record which he set last year at 47.52 that has just been broken, but it is high time that Sean Farrell's name was deleted from the record books as we go back to the pole vault, and our English winner
Charlie bails on that one. Takes a bit of a dive down to the mat, thinking, boy, this is getting tiring, and calls it a night. Well done, Charlie Myers, the English competitor, coming over to New Zealand and won't go home empty-handed, taking out the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Goes around to thank all of our wonderful volunteers and marshals. We need a small army of them around the track, making this thing happen, and they do a fantastic job in the heat, in the sun, while us commentators are in the nice shade, breezy commentating booth here. All of our marshals have to do the hard yards out there no matter what the weather.
Good week for Charlie, building on what he did on Tuesday night, extending that tonight, and I guess at this stage of his season he's got to be happy with that, of course, being from the other side of the world. Just back to that 400 metres, it's an outstanding time, and Lex must have felt that he was in the condition to crack a meeting record. It's been the third one of the night. Of course, there's a bit of extra incentive, a little bit of extra payment for the meeting records and the top performances at tonight's meeting, as we confirm Charlie Myers is the winner of the Men's Open Pole Vault, sponsored by Andrew Spence Pharmacies, and you can see there good international field with England, New Zealand and Australia filling the top 3 placings. I saw Sean Farrell, who holds the national 400 metre record in Christchurch last month, still looking good from his shoe clinic stall, still looking fit, still looking like he could run a pretty decent 400. He was one of those child prodigies, and I had the misfortune to run into him in the Canterbury Senior Men's 400 metre final, which I anticipated I would be fighting out with one other runner given the times, but Sean decided that he could win the under-18, the under-20 and the seniors, which of course he was able to do.
Yeah.
And consequently was for some time, of course, third behind Sir Peter Snell and Sir John Walker in the 800 as well, until James Preston came along and pushed him back to 4th recently as well. And now, as you say, got a couple of runners, and particularly Tommy Tapuni, looking like they might be able to finally threaten one of the longest standing records in the New Zealand book.
So we can see the blocks have been removed because we're getting ready to run some 800s, and then we will be crossing over to the 100s. But we've got the men's long jump happening as well over on the far side of the track. Reasonably early stages in that competition. And we're still trying to get results coming through of the women's discus, so apologies that they're not coming through on the feed at the moment.
2:18 on the runway there is Hunter Lyford from Napier down the road. Lewis Arthur, 7 metres 37 in November. Expected to be hard to beat in the Andrew Spencer Pharmacies long jump for men. He's had 2 silvers and a bronze in the last 3 nationals, has Lewis. And with no Shavich here tonight, is a leading candidate for the title here at the Potts Classic.
So Jack Bryan gets his campaign underway, but we switch our attention over to the 800. We're in lane 2. We've got William Larkin, Jackson McKay, Lucas Martin, Jide Lowe, Jake Lomas and Zach Manning on the outside as they all merge together. And great to see Lucas Martin back from his walk, and it looks like maybe he's been called in for pacemaking duties in the 800. So first 200 leads them out, and job done for Lucas, and hands over to the Hastings Athletics runner Jide Lowe, wearing number
Jackson
Jackson
McKay there
McKay,
in front.
isn't it?
It is Jackson McKay leading with a lap to go.
So Jackson McKay, and then right behind him is Jack Lomas right on his tail, sitting in a good position, ready to pounce, but those other 2 are right there as well. So taking over the lead now is the Hamilton City Hawks athlete Jake Lomas, going into the lead after Jide Lowe had to do a bit of that early work, but good strength here from Jack Lomas as they come into 200 metres to go. 1:28 on the clock. Has he got a sub-2 in his mind? What's the strength that he's got left? Here we go, coming into the last 100 metres, rounding the bend. Jack Lomas coming in, a bit of a battle between the 2 Hastings athletes as they come onto the home straight as well.
Zach Manning finishing strongly here in second.
Could we see Zach roll on past Jack Lomas? But Jack Lomas is staying strong. He will take out the first of our 800s and finishes in a time of just over 2 minutes. And Zach Manning fast finishing over that last 200, passes his teammate for second place.
Jackson McKay home third after taking over once Lucas Martin had taken them through the first 250 metres. Dominant performance there. Jake Lomas taking over on the back straight and clearing out. We'll have that time for you soon. Was around 2 minutes in conditions that pretty ideal now. That wind has dropped away, and it's discernible, but not anywhere near what it was when we started the meeting a little earlier today. The first field events got underway at 2:30 with 2 hammer throws, men's and women's, and also the women's pole vault, and then the bulk of the program underway from 4:30 in the track program from 5.
Yeah, big throwing there from Lauren Bruce, and then Anthony Nobilo throwing a meet record twice actually, in the first round and then in the final round. And then our Japanese pole vaulter putting on a wonderful series of vaults, really made it dramatic, just sort of competing against her versus the bar, multiple misses each round. So the shot put men, the big boys, are getting ready in the circle. Well, getting underway in the circle, I should say.
Sponsored by the plantcompany.co.nz, and we'd expect Nick Palmer and Liam Nchok-Wolf to be prominent here, but particularly Nick, local athlete, 3 bronze and a silver at the Nationals, and got out to 18.95 on Tuesday, winning the pre-POTTS, has got up to 19 and 42, and a shot putter on the rise in a discipline where New Zealand is such a proud record, with obviously Tom Walsh and Jacko Gill representing us on the international stage right now.
Yeah, he's often having to play, what would you call it, third fiddle to the Tom and Jacko show. which we saw a great battle from those two at the National Champs back in March, where Jacko finally got one over Tom and taking out that national title. But there it is, confirmation. Jack Lomas.
Under 2 minutes. Wrapped.
Under 2 minutes. That's a big result from Jack, and look, full of running towards the finish as well. Good performance there from Zach, finishing strong. 2 flat 64, and Jackson Mackay in 2:02.
Well, Zach, no, he's got 2 minutes in him because he finished outstandingly well over the last 150 metres.
Right, Liam the Chalk Wolf, first throw from the left-hander. Had a great junior career through the high school ranks, multiple secondary schools and national junior titles, now throwing the 7.26 and slowly inching up that leaderboard. I think he's out to 17 something these days.
17.24 I had as his PB. He got a put out to 16.59 on Tuesday when he came out with Nick, who's in the circle now.
All right, here he is. Nick Palmer, 1942 is best. Let's see what he's got early in 2024. That looked pretty far out towards that 20-metre mark. Hometown boy, and I've got to say that's going to start with a 19 at least. And
he's hoping it looks good.
It looks really good. It's right down the middle of the sector. Great opener from Nick Palmer. We've sort of been thinking, when's Nick going to cross that magic 20-metre mark? Because once you're past 20, then you're into that sort of world-class ranks, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have 3 on the international stage? 3 boys. 23
years of age, so it is ahead of him as we see the field for the women's under 20 mile here at the Sylvia and Ellen Potts Classic.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is where we get to hand out some bling, some national medals, and it's very exciting to have all these speedy young women lining up. In lane 1, we've got Ella Smart, then we've got Poppy Martin, Jacqueline Kowalski, Scarlett Robb, Courtney Fitzgibbon, Kennedy Taylor, Lucy Jerk, Ava Sutherland, Caro Heinen, and Eleanor Pugh. So quality field in this mile. 1,609 metres, 4 laps of the track. This is national medals on the cards right here, right now.
And it's an outstanding young lineup, as you mentioned. Scarlett Robb, I've seen in action already this year and looking really good. Her best time 5:01. Poppy Martin with a 4:57 and change, and look to Poppy and Scarlett to be to the fore come the end when they're handing out the medals here.
Yeah, we saw Poppy Martin book those 2 silver medals at the New Zealand secondary schools in the 1500 and the 3000. So she's obviously got the speed over the 1500. She's also been selected for the World Cross Country under 20 champs, along with Ava Sutherland, who's also wearing the black singlet of the New Zealand secondary schools team. But here they come round 300 metres in, and it's reasonably tactical at the moment. You wouldn't say the pace is totally off, but it's certainly not electric at this stage. And right at the front, we've got Poppy Martin prepared to just sit at the front, along with Scarlett Robb just on her shoulder.
Caro Heinen prominent as well early the first quarter of the race.
So Poppy Martin with that lead.
Ava Sutherland just tucked away quite nicely on the inside running line in 4th, or sharing 3rd at the moment, underneath Scarlett Robb.
And we know the speed that Poppy Martin's got that led her to that wonderful silver medal at the 1500 and the 3K at the New Zealand secondary schools. But 600 metres in, and she's still having to do a lot of the work at the front. So is that going to take a little bit of sting out of the kick of Poppy and maybe factor into some of the more endurance-focused athletes behind her? But so far, those bungee cords haven't stretched. The pack is all together.
Eleanor Pugh coming forward here on the outside to get more prominent. She's 3 wide and starting to breast up on the outside of Sharo Heinen. Scarlett Robb's taken back some cover. Ava Sutherland saving ground in a nice spot there. Hayden the inside.
So they go through in 2:34. So we're just a tick over 5-minute pace for the mile. So pace isn't electric, it's solid. But Poppy Martin doing all the work at the front. And as I say, is that going to factor in when we get into that last lap as the athletes look to really open up the legs and kick for home?
Jacqueline Kowaleski making a move on the outsides, moved up into 4th spot.
So the pack very much together. Great to see all these athletes hanging with the pace. Good competitive field here at the under-20 New Zealand Mile Champs. The second lot of national medals that we're handing out for the year. Of course, we decided the 10,000 metre medalist last weekend down in Dunedin.
Courtney Fitzgibbon getting prominent here as well as Poppy Martin looks to extend the pace. Courtney Fitzgibbon the outside, and now pushing up Sharo Heinen again after losing her spot. She goes forward again back to where she was. Scarlett Robb also looking to make a move, but there's pain on the face.
All right, rounding into the front now is Sharo Heinen. So she moves to the front. Poppy Martin, for the first time in this race, finds herself in second place as they hear the bell. 3:52 on the clock. What can they do over this last lap? Really opening up is Sharo Heinen. She moved into the lead with 4:50 to go and continues to press. Scarlett Robb is leading in that chase pack back. It's really feeling the effect of that bungee cord starting to stretch. Poppy Martin is being challenged at the front. This is a big challenge from a long way out. 450 metres to go. Sharo Heinen, has she gone too soon?
Well, she's certainly taken it to Poppy Martin, but Poppy Martin has been able to stay on her, and at the 200 metre mark has moved back to the shoulder and is going to put the pressure back onto her, but Heinen's got a kick.
Here we go, Sharo Heinen really getting those arms going. Poppy Martin, a resurgence, moving up onto the shoulder, but she has to settle for staying on the heels of Sharo Heinen, who is gritting the teeth, pumping the arms. Has Poppy Martin got a response? The bungee cord is stretching. There's a national title awaiting Sharo Heinen at the finish. She's pulling away now. 4:50 to go. She took the lead. She's held it together. She will be your national under-20 mile champion. Poppy Martin in second.
Alice Smart came through for 3rd.
Wow, great race there for that bronze medal, but Poppy Martin had to do so much of the work, and I wondered if Sharo Heinen's move with 4:50 to go was too much, particularly at 200 to go as Poppy Martin made that resurgence, but in the end it was just too much. That last lap was absolutely phenomenal from Heinen. Wonderful national title. That will feel good.
Tauranga 1st and 3rd there, with Alice Smart making a really big move over the final 200 metres and swept into 3rd. Ava Sutherland came again, and Jacqueline Kowaleski, who was 3rd coming down the side, she'll wind up in 5th spot as we await the official times. But a national mile under-20 title to Sharo Heinen with an outstanding race, and Poppy Martin brave in second.
Yeah, Poppy Martin really set the race up, leading from the front. Had to do a lot of that early work, and perhaps that just made the difference with that tactical running from Caro. And I'm assuming that's Craig Kirkwood. Well, it's definitely Craig Kirkwood. I'm assuming that's her coach, looking pretty happy. Well done, well-timed move.
5:01 and change, I think I've seen there. Hayden, we'll await that confirmation there, but that'll be a personal best from her, I would imagine.
Yeah, good negative split too, 69 seconds for the last lap, really showing the turn of pace, and it all happened in the space of about 80 metres from 4:50 to go to that second to last bend, where she really opened it up and blew apart the field. I mean, up until that point, it had been the whole pack together, and within the space of about 80 metres, it was well spread out. So there we go, confirmation, personal best for Caro Heinen, 5:01. Poppy Martin in second, 5:02.08. Alice Smart with a PB, and of course, a lot of these junior athletes will not have run too many miles, so this may have been the first mile outing for many of these young ladies, but impressive stuff there from Caro.
Taking about 7 seconds off her personal best, 5:01.05, as we go back to the 100 metres here, Hayden.
Oh yeah, this is exciting. These are the finals. We had some wonderful heats earlier in the night in great conditions, just gentle tailwinds, nice warm temperatures, but now we're on to the finals. So we've got Zachary Saunders in lane 1, Arian Wallange, Rylan Nume, Joseph Miller, Angus Liver, Cody Wilson, Tyron Trigo, Hiato Yonito. Who's it going to be here at the Potts Classic, the final of the 100 metres? Joseph Miller has that great start. Next to him, Rylan Nume looking good, but in lane 6, Cody Wilson will take it. Rylan Nume right next to him. Cody Wilson having the strength through the middle stages. I think he got it.
He did get it.
Rylan Nume grabs the calves. He had to work hard.
Great finish from Nume, and he made it closer than it looked like it might be with 30 or 40 metres to go. But Cody Wilson from Mana Athletics, just north of Wellington, and he is in fine form. Strong out there wide, and Nume coming through underneath Miller, who again made a really good beginning. Joseph just not quite running through the line tonight.
Yeah, Joseph's really got his start dialed in, and I wonder if that gave Nume a little bit of a hurry along early, but Cody Wilson has been given the win, 10:71 with a headwind, can you believe it, of 1.9. We had quite strong tailwinds for most of the afternoon, but the wind has swung around. Murphy's Law.
Just noticing those flags there in the middle that have actually turned around from where they were when we did our opening sequence earlier today.
And there we go, there's confirmation. Rylan Nume coming through for second, 10:79, closing fast, but hopefully those calves are okay. Joseph Miller with that quick start hangs on for third place with a 10:89, all running into a reasonably, well, moderate headwind, which is surprising given what we've seen. And we just saw a big cheer go up from the crowd, all supporting the local boy in the shot.
We've got a replay of this, and this is out towards 20 metres here from Nick Palmer. Has he cracked it? It's a great throw, and it felt good right from release.
So the board is, we're not getting results to where we are, but the board is showing 1976. 1976. That's a PB, isn't it?
It is a PB. I had him down for 1942. Nick Palmer, something special happening on the home track tonight.
Oh, boy.
And he's telling us he's this close to doing it.
So that's add 34 centimetres to his personal best. If he could do it again, I don't know what round we're in. The handshake's all round, so I think we're done and dusted. We need to jump back to this 100 metres because this is a big one. We've got Zoe Hobbs lining up against Bree Masters, all happening here at the Potts Classic. This is the final of the women's 100 metres at the 25th anniversary of the Potts Classic. In lane 3, Zoe Hobbs. Lane 4, Rosie Elliott. Brooke Summerfield, lane 5. Lane 6, Bree Masters. Zoe Hobbs is driving. She's moving away from the field. Has Bree Masters got a response? No, it's all Zoe Hobbs' night. She moves away from this quality field. She takes out the Potts Classic. That is one way to start 2024, Zoe Hobbs.
Masters second and Elliott third. The three you'd anticipate to fill the placings, and in that order too, but Zoe.
11:39 given as her time for Hobbs, which we assumes into a slight headwind, so slightly slower than what she ran in the heats with the tailwind, but Zoe Hobbs looking absolutely dominant. Fast start, fast acceleration phase, and brought it home strong.
Wins by 0.2 of a second.
Look at that power. just the composure of this woman, barely any movement in the upper body. Really good, strong finish from Brie Masters as well, finishing strong. Shail Collette down there on the inside. Great form from her over the last stages of the race, but Zoe Hobbs, undisputed queen of sprints in this corner of the planet.
Indeed. I think Rosie be happy with her sharpness this early as well, with an 11.77 there, ahead of Shail Collette, who continues her rise. Brooke Summerfield in 5th and under 12 seconds, then Brianna Stevenson, Abby Goldie and Brianna Irving. But Zoe Hobbs from New Zealand heading off Brie Masters from Australia, 2/10 of a second, and into that wind of 0.7, which flipped around from just 50 minutes to an hour ago when they had a pretty solid tailwind.
I mean, this is a field that is, you could see that same field minus Brie Masters at the New Zealand champs, and impressive that Shail Collette is basically getting third in that field, edging out Brooke Summerfield. So we're going to see more from those Collette sisters. Of course, Adira not running at the moment. Had a little injury with her hand, so she's just rehabilitating that, but her sister Shail looking very, very speedy early 2024.
And as I understand it, Hayden in terms of the men, and obviously Cody Wilson in terrific form at the moment in the absence of Tian Lobden overseas, and of course Edeosai Nketiah on his American football odyssey. I believe Jake Doran's coming across from Australia for next week at the Cooks Classic and the Capital Classic beyond, right. And so that'll be something to chase, because Jake is an absolute flying machine in green and gold.
Right, so we've got some action in the men's 800. So this is the B final in the men's 800. And this one's going to be quick. We've got some athletes who, well, Max Karamanolis just the other week posted a 154.13. He's wearing the blue of Wellington Harriers in lane 4. So this is going to be a quality field lining up. And expect this to be mid, if not low 150s. And I cannot wait for the A final, which we'll tell you more about, but I can tell you that James Preston is going to be paced by Sam Tanner, which is going to be a sight to behold. But here's the field: Luca Evatt, Daniel Sinclair, Charles Royal, Max Karamanolis, Joseph Morgan, Travis Baylor, Justin James Cunningham, and Yag Willers on the outside. So really, really strong field.
Charles Royal to pacemake in lane number 3, and he strides through now to take up his duties, checks his watch as he switches down to the inside.
So the 800, always a tricky one to pace, because you don't want to go out too slow, but you need to provide a little bit of a break in the wind for those athletes behind you, and just moving into that first lead position.
Daniel Sinclair there in second spot there, just underneath the pacemaker, and then beside him in 313 is Luca Evatt.
All right, so Daniel Sinclair has the lead at the moment as they take the bell at 56 seconds flat. Luca Evatt is right on his shoulder, but at the moment it's Daniel Sinclair in the lead, having a bit of cover early on. Max Karamanolis is just sitting in third, so it is Daniel Sinclair, Luca Evatt, Max Karamanolis. So great pacemaking, 55 seconds, exactly what these athletes would have wanted. They're all capable of mid 150s. Could we see someone go low 150s as they go through 600 with 124 on the clock? A bit of pressure being put on Daniel Sinclair at the moment. Luca Evatt just coming onto the shoulder. Max Karamanolis is right there as well, wearing that blue of Wellington Harriers. Can Daniel Sinclair hang on? Luca Evatt, here comes Max Karamanolis finding a way
taking the inside.
He takes the line, the shortest line towards the finish, and Max Karamanolis, what a finish. That's going to be a big PB for Max Karamanolis. finishing strong on the inside, sneaks through the doggy door and comes in for the win in the B final. Wonderful close from him. The other two just tying up a little bit, but the experience of Karamanolis really paying off over that last 100 metres.
Hugging the inside line there, the Wellington Harrier coming through for the victory.
Ladies and
as we get down to Tony Rogers with Zoe Hobbs, our 100 metre champion. He's got 2 microphones though to contend with here, but hopefully we'll get that to you in just a moment. Still pretty humid here as the wind drops away, and Zoe feeling it out there.
ladies and gentlemen, out here in front of the Pott Classic flags, we have our women's 100 metre champion tonight, Zoe Hobbs. Of course, the person that many of you have come out to see. Zoe, you've had a couple of races to start your season tonight. Tell us a little bit how it went for you in this warm conditions.
Yeah, I always love to come to Hawke's Bay. It always turns it on with the weather. The goal today was just to run it smooth, to open the season and dust the cobwebs off, so I'm glad I've got that under my belt now, and yeah, big focus towards the rest of the season now.
And so you had some good opposition with Bree Masters coming across from Australia, so that would have been a good test of your mental fortitude tonight as well. How did you prepare for that final?
Yeah, it was great to have some Australians come here. I'd love to see more come in future years, so thanks Bree for coming across. Definitely adds an element of more nerves and things, so definitely gets you up for that final.
So we understand you're off to do some indoors. Is that still the plan? And then you'll be back for the Nationals, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'll head away mid-Feb for Europe and World Indoors the first weekend of March ahead of the Nationals, so really gearing up towards those.
So you've got some big goals this year, Zoe, so I'm sure the public here in Hawke's Bay, put your hands together for Zoe Hobbs as she prepares for a big 2024.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really strong warm of applause there from the crowd. They really appreciate what Zoe's doing, not only tonight, but doing for New Zealand sprinting and New Zealand athletics. It's wonderful to have one of the fastest women in the world as a local Kiwi. And yes, she mentioned it would be great to have more Aussies over here. And if you're wondering, Aussie athletes, the weather's always like this. It's always low 30s, high 20s, very little wind. So come on over.
Yeah, no, it's just like Queensland. Max Karamanolis dips under 153 for a personal best, heading off. Other personal best to Daniel Sinclair, Luca Everett, Justin Cunningham in 5th. Travis Baylor ran a good race too, by the way, in 4th there. And a PB for Jag Willers down in 7th as well. Conditions ideal for the 800, given that the wind dropped away, ended up in the face of those in the 100 metre final, Hayden, but obviously from an 800 perspective, really good conditions. Oh,
it's ideal for 800 running. That really gets the excitement going for what's to come still tonight. So, of course, the A finals for the men and the women absolutely stacked. And this is the women's B final. So I'll roll through the start list. We've got Olivia McDowell, Zita Mio, Paige Scannell, Emma Very, Nina Chalmers, and Paige Dobson lining up in this B final at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Of course, Sylvia Potts was a brilliant 800 and 1500 metre runner. And that's why we finished the night with the 800s. It really is the feature event here, and athletes all over New Zealand who run the middle distances know if you want to run fast in the 800, this is one of the nights to do it. So these young ladies will have their eyes set on probably a time around the low 210s, mid 210s. But at the moment it's being led out by Zita Mio.
She's the designated pacemaker here. On the outside of her is Nina Chalmers.
So Nina Chalmers of Auckland City Athletics, just shouldered by Paige Dobson. On her shoulder they go through in 108, 107 high. So that would set up a perfect pacing for around that sort of 2:15 mark. So 5 ladies all running together, led out by Nina Chalmers at the front. Then it's Paige Dobson who continues to just make her presence felt just up on the shoulder. Paige Scannell of Egmont Athletics looking pretty good there, tucked in against the rail. And then just next to her, Olivia McDowell running as well. from Palmerston North. Now a bit of a change. Paige Scannell is moving there into third. Bit of a change at the front. Going backwards was our race leader. And here we go, coming into the home straight. Paige Dobson moved into first. Now it's Emma Very from Palmerston North. She sees the finish line. She gets the arms pumping. What can Paige Scannell do? Can she
big
blow
finish, Paige
past
Scannell.
the Egmont athlete moves past into the lead. Paige Scannell will take it. What a wonderful race from her. The lead chopped and changed all over the show in that final 200 metres. And in the end, the more conservative pacing from Paige Scannell over that back straight paid off, storming home for the win.
Terrific finish over the top of Emma Very, who took the front at the top of the straight in her Palmerston North athletic top, but Paige Scannell with a determined run, and Paige Dobson, who had led across the top into third place. There was a bit of jostling over the back when things changed, and there might be one or two spike wounds from that.
That was an epic closing sprint, I've got to say. That's how I feel like I'm sprinting at the end of a race. Look at Paige Scannell, absolutely full of running. Now, she has no right to be looking that calm and that strong 750 metres into an 800 metre race. That is a phenomenal close. She can be very proud of that. So obviously the acidosis training is paying off. That is a wonderful sprint finish there from Paige Scannell. From my home in Taranaki, Egmont Athletics, well done.
The Oxenham family sponsoring these 800 metres and have been consistent with their support, of course. Sylvia Pott's family and the Oxenhams putting up some extra incentives for athletes to run certain times in our elite races coming up. Paige Scannell confirmed as a PB, dips under 2:18. Emma Very, a personal best too, 2:18.69. Paige Dobson third, and Olivia McDowell posts fresh figures for her as well at 2:24.02. So the two 800 metre B races we've had, Hayden, have produced a number of personal bests, and as you say, as we lick our lips in anticipation of the elite races for both men and women, given the quality of the fields that we've got and the conditions that we've now got. And I suspect these conditions won't be flashing about 2 hours, but right now they're spot on.
So we've got the men's long jump competition happening. This is Kurt Sweeney from Hamilton City Hawks. And unfortunately, we're not being fed results. So I'm unable to say who's in the lead, where we're at. But it looks like, is that a 3 on the board? So maybe we're in round 3. It could also be a 5 or a 6.
We had an outstanding start to the night in terms of the results, but it has faded away somewhat like the wind as we get ready for the under 20 mile on the track for the men.
Yeah, and these milers won't be complaining about the drop in, slight drop in temperature, but definitely the drop in wind is basically negligible wind conditions by distance running standards. But here's your field. We've got Felix Field from Egmont Athletics, Caleb Murray from Athletics Tauranga, Jack McNeil from Egmont Athletics, Lorcan Rabbit from Victoria University, George Wiley from Athletics Tauranga, Louis Andre from Hamilton City Hawks, Max Wildboar from Hastings, Az Kobasawa from Te Puke, Xavier Brown from Egmont, Robin Moore from Hastings, Daniel Prescott from Selwyn Athletics, Liam O'Donnell from Port Hills, James Herkus from Wellington Scottish, Logan Hopfler from Olympic Harriers, Alexander West from Hastings Athletics, James McClay from St Paul's, Elliot Pugh from Athletics Tauranga, Nick Dobby from Egmont Athletics, Fletcher Van Heuven from Te Araha, and Lachlan Parsons from Athletics Tauranga. Big field, but a really, really quality field. Much like the women's race, we've got multiple world cross country recently selected athletes. We've got New Zealand Secondary Schools champion in the form of Daniel Prescott, and we've got Elliot Pugh, the under-20s silver medalist in the mile and the 1500 metres. So really good field. definitely need to look out for the likes of Daniel Prescott, Elliot Pugh, Lorcan Rabbit and Az Kubosawa, who have all been selected to head over to Serbia for the World Cross Country Champs, and they're off, and it looks to me like they're moving, because look at that pack of 20 already getting stretched out as they go through. I want to say that's sub 30 seconds through that first 200, so it is moving.
Daniel Prescott in front now. In the 1500 metres in New Zealand secondary schools, he opened up an enormous gap. It was a courageous performance from front. He attacked right from the off, opened up a big lead, and he was able to maintain it. More conservative lead here, and he is running away from the rail, so he's, I think, offering that to anyone who wants to come through. But Prescott doing it from the front again. One of a number of people here that can sort of run 4:10 to 4:15 for the mile, so they've gone through in about 1:03.
Yeah, Max Wildboar just on his shoulder, along with James McClay. So those three sort of just starting to stretch things out a little bit. And we've also got Callum Murray in there of Athletics Tauranga. So already in the early stages, we are seeing those bungee cords stretched out. And it's almost like we've got a pacemaker out the front in the form of Daniel Prescott. And maybe everyone's cottoned on to the fact that, heck, we can't let this boy go.
That's right.
Because he's proven that he can Steve Prefontaine it right from the front and claim a national secondary schools title, which is one of the epic races of secondary schools history in New Zealand. And if you haven't seen it, be sure to go through the coverage and check out that gutsy victory from Daniel Prescott. But he continues to race this one. Leading from Max Wildboar, sitting in second place, wearing 288. That's James McLeay just moving up onto the shoulder. So at 800 metres they go through in 2:04, so the pace is on.
And Tauranga athlete coming through on the inside, looking to push his way into contention as well. As we move into the back half of the race, that was George Wiley getting into a prominent position, and he should be prominent at the finish. Prescott still leads down the back, very distinctive style with his head slightly on the side. Felt during that 1500 metre final last month that he was always looking under pressure, but it's just the nature of the way that he races, and in fact he was still comfortably clear at the line.
All right, so it is Daniel Prescott up the front. We've got Callum Murray just sitting in there as well. Daniel Prescott, James McLeay, Callum Murray, these three will come to the bell with a handy lead over the rest of the pack. So he's led the whole way, much the same as he did at the New Zealand secondaries. They're going to get the bell at 3:09. This is going to be a fascinating last 400 with Daniel Prescott leading the whole way. These other two have had the benefit of perfect pacemaking. They're being cheered on by Sam Tanner. Who better to have in your court cheering you along with 300 metres to go in the under-20s mile championships. Daniel Prescott continues to lead ahead of James McLeay and Callum Murray. 200 metres, and look at this resurgence. Look at this resurgence. Is it Elliot Pugh who's making the big move? It is Elliot Pugh has made up miles in this mile championship. And here he goes. Daniel Prescott is being dropped. These three stepping on the gas now. The pink shoes running in tandem. Here comes Elliot Pugh on the inside. Callum Murray is hanging tough.
And Murray kicks back.
Who's it going to be? Callum Murray.
From Pugh.
Oh. Wow, epic racing. Wow. Well, it was James McLeay. Sorry, I got the numbers wrong in the chaos of that finish. James McLeay takes it out. The man from St. Paul's Harriers in Athletics took it on the line. And boy, oh boy, what an exciting final 200 metres we had in that race, with Elliot Pugh coming from nowhere, coming from the dead. We thought he had it, and then I was scrambling, looking at bib numbers, trying to call the winner over the line. It turned out James McLeay was the victor, taking home the gold medal in the New Zealand under-20 mile champs. What drama.
And he really dug deep as he saw Elliot Pugh come to his inside. He had challenged to his outside as well, and inside, outside, he was repelling And that's been a courageous, determined finish.
Wow, James McLeay. Didn't even mention him. Sorry, James, in the build-up to the race, but he had the perfect pacemaking in Daniel Prescott, and we do have to give him a shout-out. There you can see him on screen coming through for 4th place. He set the race up. He set the time up. And wonderful strategic running there from James McLeay to take out the national title.
Waiting for that final time to come up, his previous best at 4:14 and 50. And the under-20s have really turned it on. National championship up for grabs. And James McLeay's come through and repelled the challengers. Elliot Pugh, when he came through the inside, looked like he might steam through. And Callum Murray also in that finish.
Well, there we go.
This will be a personal best by a margin, I would say, because I think I saw 4:10 time for Prescott in 4th. So we'll get that to you in a moment, but some outstanding running from the young men over the mile in what's turned out to be perfect conditions. McLeay in 4:07.84, Pugh 4:08.14, and Murray 4:08 and change as well. Prescott 4th, Kubaseo 5th, Rabbit in 6th.
So about
place.
58 seconds for that last lap for James McLeay. That's impressive off a good pace set up by Daniel Prescott, who has now defined himself as the Steve Prefontaine of New Zealand junior running. And if you don't know who Steve Prefontaine is, epically famous runner from the States in the 70s and 60s, mostly the 70s, who would always run from the front. And his motto was, he's going to make the rest of the pack bleed behind him. And that's exactly what Daniel Prescott did. He said, well, if you can stick with the pace, good on you, but I'm going out for a fast pace. Stick with me if you can. Turned out that 3 of them did and passed him in that last 200. And then it was all sorts of drama as James McLeay climbed over the top and took home his first national under-20 title.
Be interested to see how many personal bests come up here, because I'd say that Daniel has probably shaved nearly 5 seconds off his personal best and running 4th there. So we'll get that confirmation very shortly, but McLeay in 4:07 and change. Those results just not yet through, but
oh, here they are, just popped up. So confirmed, yeah, PBs all round, really across the board. I'm seeing the first 13 athletes all posted PBs. Oh no, there's one season's best in there, so hard luck. Here's our pole vault medalist from earlier in the day. Looks like we're missing the bronze medalist.
I think there was a tie for second, because even on the countback they couldn't be separated. So we've got Japan, Australia and New Zealand here at this international meeting.
So yeah, second equal Hannah Adey, and then Jade Arbuthnot from Australia, 3:45 equal, and then konnichiwa to our Japanese viewers, Misaka Morota taking out the pole vault in a dramatic event for Morota, taking it out in 4:40. And there's confirmation. Look at those PBs. First 9 all clocking personal best, and 4:07. That's a wonderful time for James McLeay. Brilliant closing speed as well. Tactical genius. Elliot Pugh, Callum Murray not too far behind. Apologies to Callum. We called him the champ at the end, but he will have to settle for a bronze. And Daniel Prescott set up the race. Brilliant race it was. It wasn't to be like his New Zealand Secondary School's 1,500 metre win, but it certainly set up an exciting finish. And all of those guys should be shouting him at least a bit of Burger King on the way home or something. Don't know if these guys are old enough to drink yet, so it'll certainly give him the rights to say, guys, I'll be your pacemaker whenever you need.
I see George Wiley didn't start there. I was looking for him during that race as well, so apologies there, but it certainly was a race that those young men won't forget in a wee one or wee. With the outstanding performances they've turned on here. Got some relays coming, sponsored by Ace Rogers, Tony Rogers, the man I travelled up with today from Sport Wellington. Of course, he's in the throes of putting together the Capital Classic between now and then. We've also got the Cook's Classic in Wanganui next weekend. It's an outstanding month, 2 months, year of athletics upcoming. And Hayden, Zoe mentioned it earlier, of course, with the World Indoor Championships as well in the beginning-ish of the year, and obviously the Olympics in the middle of the year. It does mean that a number of our top athletes who might have been here for some domestic races aren't already overseas or contemplating going overseas very shortly. So it was great to have Zoe here tonight to at least see her in a domestic sense. We'll see her again, as she mentioned, at the Nationals, but for some of them, like our pole vaulters, for example, already offshore, but some very, very big fish to fry.
Yeah, and it sort of depends on what you're chasing. We've got obviously World Indoors and the Paris Olympics coming up for a lot of these athletes. A lot of the distance runners, of course, have got World Cross Country to throw in the mix. So, and we've got not only a Paralympics but a World Paras. So there's a lot on the calendar this year. It's very congested. It does mean that our domestic season does suffer a little from a lot of our elite athletes having to just balance up where they're sort of applying their energies. But nevertheless, it's been a wonderful night, and we're going to finish up. We've still got the Sylvia Potts Memorial to come, 800 metres. That is going to be absolutely on fire, and the Alan Potts Memorial men's 800 metres still to come, of course, as well. But these 4x1s are going to be really fascinating, and in particular we're kind of keeping an eye on the New Zealand junior women's team. I know that they've been doing a lot of practice, but it's really cool just looking through the teams that we've got lined up.
And we've got to run combined here. I see Hayden with the 4 teams, 2 female, 2 male teams. So we've got a combined relay here. So hopefully we'll be able to work out who's who.
Yeah, this is going to test our ability to keep track of who's who and having multiple tabs open. So there you can see in the men's division, lane 3, lane 4, lane 5. Well, actually, we've got a Hastings team, we've got a New Zealand junior women's team in lane 4, so keep an eye on that one. Lane 5 is a mixed team.
Yeah, and there is a 4th out there, so I can see Joe Dolphin at the last change as part of one of the mixed teams. Just looking over the back straight to see that I can see. So Hastings lane 3, New Zealand junior women lane 4, and then 2 men's teams on the outside. Just checking that everybody at the interchanges know. Lex Revel Lewis, part of the men's mixed team, is over in the back straight.
So for change number 2 at the 200 metre mark, we need both the men and the women runners on the track, please. The men and the women runners on the track at change number 2, please.
So just an issue here with change number 2 unaware that this race now combined, both men and women running together.
The women and the men on the track for the change to the 200 metre mark, please.
Lex Revel-Lewis over at change number 2 after a meet record 400 metres. So this will be a good shakeout for him.
Yeah, so we're trying to work out these teams and get a handle of. There's been lots of last minute changes.
And just looking through, I'm not sure those changes have been altered on our website here, so we'll endeavour to
And as is the case with any relay race, there's lots of scratchings, lots of team managers running around saying, we need you here, run over there. But I know Mariah Ridenoi's been doing a lot of work with the New Zealand junior girls, really, because we've got such a good young crop of junior female sprinters coming through, and male junior sprinters as well. But they've been doing a lot of mahi, getting their relay skills up to speed. So we've got 2 female teams in lanes 3 and 4, then 2 male teams on the outside. It looks like New Zealand juniors are handing off to Shale Collette now. We've got Lex Revel-Lewis charging off in that green singlet of Waitakere, handing over to their 3rd runner in just a tick over 21 seconds. So they're moving. The New Zealand junior women's team looking nice and strong at the moment, coming into the final change.
Joe Dolphin to bring this game home.
Yeah, so Joe Dolphin, arms pumping, steaming to the finish. Look at this from James Dolphin. The junior women's team looking really good too. They got a good changeover. So about 43 seconds for the men. I want to say the women were around 47, but that is very rough. All those things need to be very much confirmed shortly. So good to see the battens get around cleanly.
And that's the key for the relay, because so often, even at the top level meets, Hayden, that does not occur. So some clean baton changes there.
Oh, we've seen the best in the business just turn to custard at some of those changeovers. So very good work from those relay athletes. And that's something we'll see throughout the summer. Really good for these athletes to get lots of experience, because there's a potential that we could send a 4x100 teams to the World Juniors coming up later this year in Peru, I want to say, somewhere in South America. So wouldn't it be fantastic to see a junior team lining up there? Joe Dolphin, look at that, on the toes, arms driving, pumping all the way to the finish. Here's a little look at the clock.
Now the anticipation builds for the elite men's 800 metres. The Tumu Oxenham family Alan Potts Classic Memorial.
Oh, this is going to be great. We've got James Ford, there he is on screen, sporting the curly mullet. New Zealand Secondary Schools champ over the 400 and 800. And here we've got the top 3 from the women's 100. Rosie Elliott coming in for 3rd place. She was probably expecting wine. But the bottle will do. That'll come in handy. Hydration is very important. Bree Masters in 2nd place from Australia. The #1 ranked 100-metre runner. I believe she got silver at the National Australian Champs this year, but according to world rankings, Bree Masters is the #1 ranked heading into 2024. And taking home the local produce is Zoe Hobbs. Put on a wonderful display of 100-metre sprinting here once again in Hastings. She loves this place. Now, let's turn our attention to this 800 metres. This is going to be fast. It's going to be frenetic. It is going to be electric. In this field, we've got Ethan Smollett, James Ford, Samuel Tanner. He's pacemaking. Liam Lamb is sharing the lane with Sam. James Preston, Thomas Cowan, Hamish Murray, Benjamin Wall, Liam O'Donnell, Brody Borburn, and Angus Sevier. Really quality field. These are exceptional runners. James Preston represented New Zealand at the World Champs in Budapest last year. And here we are, the Alan Potts Memorial for the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Here in Hastings, Samuel Tanner, our leading 1,500 metre runner in New Zealand right now, is given the duties of going through in about 50.5 for the first 400. He moves to the front. James Preston right on his shoulder, sporting a wonderful moustache. So it's the two moustaches right at the front of the Alan Potts Memorial here in Hastings. Let's have a look at the clock. 25 seconds on the nose. Perfect, Sam. Perfect pacing. And it looks like the pace is a little bit too hot for the pack. So a little bit of two races within the race here. James Preston going with the pace of Sam Tanner.
Third fastest of all time, of course, James Preston, and behind Sir Peter Snell and Sir John Walker. Moved into third recently with his time last year. And Sam Tanner, he is pacemaking, but he will kick all the way, Hayden, so he'll make this interesting as the pack goes through behind.
About 51 flat, so a little bit slower than planned, but that could come into come in handy over the last 400 as they potentially accelerate from this point. So Sam Tanner holding tough. This is wonderful pacemaking. You can see how much he's hurting. You can see how much this is meaning to James Preston, who's able to just relax and stay calm. Through 600 and 117, what's James Preston got? What can he do here in Hastings? He's got a huge lead. The pack goes through in 122 at 600 metres. This is massive from James Preston. Look at that stride. Look at the lead. The rest of the field isn't even in the picture. He looks over his shoulder. He doesn't need to. He's got about 40, 50 metres. Here he comes, James Preston. He's in the lead. Watch the clock. Here he goes, sub 146. Big burn off for second. Cowan takes it over Ford. Wow!
Cowan and Ford at it again. Of course, they pulled each other through to World Under 20 Championship qualifiers recently on the night of fives, but James Preston up front, how good and relaxed did he look with that long loping stride in behind Sam Tanner, who of course has got that high leg turnover that he needs being a shorter runner, and he did pull at 600 metres because he had done his job. Thought about trying to kick on. He'd done his job, left it to James Preston, and the crowd had to bring him up the straight.
That was incredible from James Preston. Look at the composure all the way to the finish. He didn't panic. He just stayed in the motion, doing his processes, keeping that posture. He's practiced that fatigue in training, and he's looking good in 2024. It's a bit of a frustrating 2023 by his standards, but he's sporting a moustache in 2024, sporting the speed suit, and I think, James, you've got to keep this look going because I like it. I like the moustache and the speed suit combination. 1:45.91 is the confirmed time. That is epic running from James Preston.
His best 1:45.30, which is good enough to be third on the all-time list of greats, 800 metres in New Zealand running, and he's only just a fraction outside that tonight here at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're not done yet because this is the big one. This is the Sylvia Potts Memorial. This wonderful family, the Potts family, Alan and Sylvia, the event runs in their memory. Their son, Richard Potts, puts it together. He's had COVID all week and he's still managed to put this event on. His kids have been racing in it, but here we go. This is the climax of the night. Jemima Tennecoon from Australia will run in lane 1. Then we've got Sophia Lombreras, Samantha Lachelle, Stella Peerless, Rosa Twyford, Lucy Jacobs, who's the pacemaker, Holly Manning, a former national champion, Bo Ritchie, Tilly Hollier, Laura Nagel, national champion, the 1500, 3000, 5000, many other distances, Poppy Healy, and then Peyton Lee on the outside. Big field, quality field. We've got juniors moving up. We've got distance athletes moving down. We've got former national 800-metre champions. This is going to be fast.
It certainly will be. Locally raised Holly Manning be looking for victory here. 27 years of age now, and with the best time of 2:03.76 this season, 2:05 and change. Bo Ritchie saw win New Zealand Secondary Schools 800, of course. Very good over longer journeys and cross country as well, but a dominant display in the final of that New Zealand Secondary Schools 800. And here, taking on experienced rivals, there was Bo, who is out there sharing a lane in lane number 6. And then the experience of runners like Laura Nagel as they take their marks in the feature of the night.
And we're away in the Sylvia Potts Memorial here at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Beautiful conditions for 2-lap running, and they are off nice and cleanly. Our pacemaker takes the front as they head round the bend for the first time here at Mitre 10 Sports Park in Hastings. Beautiful warm conditions. We've got a great field lined up, and our pacemaker moves to the front. Lucy Jacobs wearing a 242. The local girl Holly Manning coming in to second place, and the pace is hot. We're through the first 200 in about 29 seconds. So it is nice and quick over that first lap, and maybe just a little bit too quick. Holly Manning struggling to stay with it at the moment.
Stella Peerless moving forward on the outside, and Laura Nagel in 4th, then Bo Ritchie.
So Bo Ritchie, of course, so well performed in the junior ranks, now moving into the seniors, trying to take it to the older girls. So Holly Manning sitting in first place as the pacemaker moves off. Stella Peerless is right there. She's got a 2:06 PB, so would certainly fancy her, but they're lining up. Laura Nagel's strength coming into it now. Bo Ritchie right there on the shoulder as well. Holly Manning, 300 metres to go now.
Manning down the back. Pain on the face, Stella Peerless right on her shoulder, Laura Nagel hanging in there, and Bo Ritchie just trying. She's just about 3 metres off this pack.
200 metres left to run for Holly Manning. 200 metres left in the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Holly Manning, she's sat in that front position this whole race. Can she hold on? Laura Nagel, we know the strength that she's got over the last stages of the race. Can she come through? Stella Peerless is right there. It's Holly Manning. It's Laura Nagel. Here she comes, Laura Nagel. We've seen this from her so much, but we've never seen it in the 800. Here she goes, kicking for home. She will win the Sylvia Potts Memorial here at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. Laura Nagel.
Holly Manning 2nd, Stella Peerless 3rd, Bo Ritchie 4th. Good lineup, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Laura Nagel, she just looked comfortable the whole way. We know her strength, her experience, and the renaissance that she's had in the last couple of seasons has been truly remarkable.
You cannot count out Laura Nagel in the last stages of any race. The guts and determination of this woman to come from nowhere. She obviously paced herself a little bit more conservatively, trusting her endurance, strength over that last lap. But she had a lot of work to do. Holly Manning hanging tough.
2:05.38. I think she shattered her personal best here. Peerless 2nd, 2:06.29, 2:06.49. In fact, Manning 2nd, Peerless 3rd, as the board changes there. But Nagel has produced something special tonight in the memory of Sylvia Potts.
We've seen her improve. Like, she had a great collegiate career over in the States, but she came back to New Zealand and actually started setting PBs while working full time, and has really had a renaissance in her career over the 1500, 3000 metres and 5000 metres, but now stepping down against the 800 girls. She's really shown she's got a good pair of heels as well, and also impressive from Bo Ritchie, finishing strong there as well. So great signs from young Bo Ritchie. And look at that meet record, James Preston 1:45.89 confirmed. Thomas Cowan 1:50.130. They got caught out with the bunch, just playing a bit of cat and mouse for second place. So James Ford, Thomas Cowan continue their battle. Benjamin Wall in fourth place. Ethan Smollett in fifth, and a couple of PBs going to Liam Lamb and Hamish Murray. So great running, impressive from James Preston, and impressive from Sam Tanner. He was given the job of pacemaking to 550, 600. He hung on to 550. The rumour was that maybe he'd carry on, but by the look of his face at about 550, you were thinking, there's no way. Pulled aside and let James Preston just metronome his way to the finish line.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he set up there one of the fastest 800s we've ever seen in New Zealand. It's been phenomenal that he should dip under 146 at this stage of the season, James Preston. But the 800 metres, as we know, Hayden, internationally is such a tough competition. And you can run in the 145s and it's just not good enough to advance you in the World Championships. But can Preston nail the longest standing record in the New Zealand books of Sir Peter Snell? You just wonder if he can dip under 146 at this time of the year as he heads to Europe. What could he achieve? Could that magic mark finally be broken?
All right, we're going to cross down to a interview or two. I'm sure Tony Rogers doing the mahi, rounding everyone up for a chat down there on the track, because we've had just such a wonderful close to the night with the 100s, the under 20 miles. Great performance from Nick Palmer in the shot put circle to round things off. And then those 800s, the Alan Potts and the Sylvia Potts memorials, always a great way to end a night. And look, the rain hasn't arrived, which was forecast to kick in about 8 p.m. But look, we're 5 minutes to 8 and we're dry as a bone still here. So thank you, Hastings, for turning on the weather once again. It's been a wonderful day. And here we go with Charlie Miles down there with
Tony Rogers.
So, ladies and gentlemen, down here in front of this Potts Classic signage, I have Charlie Myers, the winner of tonight's pole vault. A very good competition with our national champion, James Stain from Auckland. Charlie's our only visitor here, I think, this evening from Great Britain, training down under. Charlie, you're coming back after being national champion in UK 3 times. You got a best of 570, big summer ahead of you. Tonight, how did it go for you?
Yeah, it was really good. Slowly making it back, trying to get up to where I was. So yeah, really happy. Looking forward to getting back to full approach, and yeah, can't wait for the next one.
So you're on a short approach tonight, and you're going back to Queensland where you're based for your training at the moment, but you're hoping to come back. And when's your next comp? Have you got one between that and a couple of weeks' time?
So the next one is the Capital Classic. James keeps on begging me to come back, so I feel like I might. Yeah, so that's that one. So just back training. Got a good team. Got a good guy called Brown Sugar. He's a really good teammate and all the rest of them. So back training with the group. And yeah, we should jump higher next time.
Well, it's really a privilege to have you here tonight and giving our New Zealand athletes good competition. So all the best for the rest of the season, and obviously a big year in 2024.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So there he is, the winner of the pole vault, Charlie Myers, over from the UK. And that was a short approach as well. That's impressive from Charlie. So still room in the tank. Only, 20, 30 centimetres off his best today. So pretty solid there from Charlie Myers. And great to hear that he'll be carrying on with the Classics.
Well, Tony Rogers might have just pulled out a bit more money from his pocket there to keep him to come back for the Capital Classic, which is just under 2 weeks away. It's on the Friday night. So it'd be great to have Charlie there, obviously, and it'd be great for James to have Charlie there as well.
Look at those results in the women's 800-metre final. The Sylvia Potts Memorial. Laura Nagel steaming home for the victory, 2:05.37. That's a big PB. Holly Manning hanging on for second place. Stella Peerless ran a good strategic race to pick up third. Bo Ritchie was finishing strong, again using that more distance-orientated strength to close hard and earns herself a wonderful PB. And Peyton Lee, I remember training Peyton Lee as a young junior, and I cannot believe she is running sub 2:10 now. That is phenomenal. Well done, Peyton. Wonderful to see her closing nice and fast.
So phenomenal way to finish, and in the memory of Sylvia Potts, who ran at 2 Commonwealth Games for New Zealand and an Olympics too, Mexico 1968. 70 and 74 games, famously at Edinburgh, looked to have the 1500 won, but fell. And then, of course, had the honour of bringing the baton into the venue at QE2 Park for the opening of the Christchurch Games, the friendly games, 50 years down the track, and we're celebrating that at the moment. Dick Taylor's 10,000 metre win getting some extraordinary coverage at the moment, which is outstanding. One of the meeting records we've had tonight, and we have to try and recap and remember those, Hayden, Lex Revel-Lewis in the 400 metres.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked really strong, and I'm excited for the 400 because who wasn't here tonight was Tommy Tapuni, who's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but we saw him early season, hand-timed low 46, potentially high 45 time, so not qualifying for an official time, but suggesting that he's in near or around New Zealand record shape, and with Lex Revel-Lewis, the national champion, to keep him company. The 400-metre stocks are starting to look pretty healthy, especially with the women's 400 that we saw tonight as well, with Portia Bing taking on Cameron Smart and Isabel Neal. Had a great race in the one-lapper, so it was really a meet of many highlights across the, and I was chatting to Richard Potts earlier in the week around why this event continues to get so many views, so much interest, great crowd turnout, and I really think it is that expectation that athletes have of coming to Hawke's Bay, running fast, jumping high, or throwing far, and that expectation builds the performances, and when you get weather like this.
It's turned out to be absolutely perfect. Now this is the long jump here, and
winner for 2024 at the Pott Classic 25th anniversary meet.
We'll just confirm this because
7 metres, 0.48, representing North Harbour Bay's Lewis Arthur.
Lewis Arthur, as expected, and with a very good jump too, taking out the men's long jump. Now obviously as things got very busy on the track with our feature races, we didn't get quite as much of that as we could, and also the results were not coming through in the back half of the field program.
So we did get confirmation Lewis picked up a 7.48 PB, so that was terrific. Solid jumping from Lewis, almost a metre clear of Jack Bryan with a 6.58 and Forbes Kennedy with a 6.52. So Lewis Arthur, the clear leader, and a well-deserved victory from Lewis, with a handy PB to take home along with his victory from tonight.
Cook's Classic coming up next Saturday. Thoroughly looking forward to it there, with the venue for one of Peter Snell's most famous times and wins, and that will be Saturday, January the 27th, next Saturday. So we look forward to your company then in the river city of Wanganui for the Cook's Classic. Just catching up on the discus, the women's discus, which we weren't getting results through for, with our Cameroon competitor Nora Moni winning that with 55.82 that she threw in round 2 over Tatiana Komoana, who threw 55.67, so pushed her close, and that was her first round throw, so good throwing there from Tatiana. Australian Charlie's Goody third at 50 and 23. And the other thing we probably wanted to catch, if we can, Hayden, is Nick Palmer's winning put in the shot put. and I'm not sure whether we got confirmation of that or not, but that was another of the outstanding performances in the back half of the field program.
So we did have it. So 1976. So he's inching closer to that 20 metre mark, which will be just so fantastic if Nick can claim that. But good to see him in the winner's circle. And Liam the Chalk Wolf took out second. Max Abbott coming over to the shot and picking up third place with a 13.65. So it's been a fantastic afternoon and evening here at the 25th edition of the Potts Classic. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to bring the coverage to you. Should we finish with a standout highlight from you, Mark?
Well, we started with a meeting record, which was Anthony Nobilo. Just trying to think of the other meeting records that we had. Connor Bell broke his own in the men's discus. James Preston, of course, in the 800 metres. I think witnessing a sub 146 800 metres tonight by James Preston was outstanding, and to see a runner as good as Sam Tanner, one of our best ever 1500 metres, who's still got it all ahead of him in his career, to pace him through that 600. I think that's probably the highlight for me. Always great, of course, to see Zoe Hobbs. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. Some big highlights across those field events, across the one lappers with the meet records. Zoe Hobbs, and look, we can see a bunch of kids doing a 100-metre sprint. They actually started at the 110 line, but we won't tell them that. But there's a girl at the front leading it. I wonder if we can pan a camera across to it, because it looks like she's going to emulate her hero, Zoe Hobbs, and when it there she goes, she'll rub it into the boys behind her. But that was pretty impressive, and like you say, with the 800s, I'm sure Ellen and Sylvia are looking down on this event, feeling very proud at where this event's got to, the 25th edition, looking at the likes of James Preston, Laura Nagel, Holly Manning, and just thinking, wow, athletics is in a great position right now in New Zealand. So thank you for tuning into the coverage, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned, the next event will be the Cooks Classic coming up next weekend. So be sure to tune into all the coverage. If you're near one of these events, head along. If you're an athlete, make sure you get out there and compete your heart out. The athletics summer is just kicking off here in Aotearoa. It's been wonderful to have your company. Mā te wā.
Catch you in a week.
What a sequence of events. So Charlie, up he goes. Look at this.